Welcome. This is Mal Reviews. So this is something that I've done before because I thought it'd be kind of neat. And basically what I did was I just clicked on, I just went to various shows and read reviews on them. And it kind of went down a rabbit hole of reviews from certain reviewers that I thought were funny. And so on and so forth. But it's been a while, and this time what I wanted to do was focus on seasonal stuff. So basically follow the seasonal stuff, see how it goes, and then after I kind of go through it, I can go to my own personal list and check out reviews for those shows that I have watched, and also get a chance to talk about the shows that I've watched over the years, because turns out I've watched a lot of anime in my life. Who would have thought? So, chat, before we begin, where should we start? How far back should we go, do you think? How far back do you think we should go? Should we go to 2021? Or should we go even further back? How far back should we start, do you think? To the beginning of anime. No. You can't. Jump to winter 1969. Well, I'll be damned. One new anime. Yo. 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 Okay, chat. For real, where's a good starting spot, do you think? Where do you think's a good starting spot here? When did anime really hit it, you know? Jesus, look at this stuff. Kinikuman here? He probably will show up at some point. He went on for a while. I don't think he's 70s though. I think he's 80s. I haven't finished that because the sub hasn't been, or the fan sub hasn't been finished yet. But I'm very close to finishing it. I've been waiting for the fan sub to conclude. Yo, Lupin in 1977? Insane. What'd that say? Ju! Not June. 1978. I can't believe there's even stuff in, chat, can you even find this anime on the internet? Do you think you could actually, the first animated Ultraman series. Wow, Gundam. Holy shit. 1979? Oh. Oh. The Gundam is so old. Holy shit. This is crazy. Look at this stuff. Just trying to find a good starting spot. Really, I guess it's the first time I recognize something, or when there's actually like a substantial list. Oh, I've heard of that one actually. Ashita no Joe. That one's actually apparently really good. This is the sequel. This is the prequel. Tomorrow's Joe. God damn. 79 episodes. Season 2, 47. Jeez, that was back in the day. You got one anime and you loved it. You loved it for years. It's just like video games, man. Look at the score on that, though. God, that must be incredible. I wonder. I wonder. Dr. Slump. Man. Urusei Yatsura. Oh, I know that one. My friend loves that one. This has got a revamp actually. Urusei Yatsura. I watched like the first 2 episodes of it. 195 episodes, by the way. Recommended. Damn. Look at that. Alright, Chad, I'll give you this one. Not much is notable about the lecherous Ataro Moroboshi, but his extraordinary bad luck sticks out like a horn in an alien's head. When Earth is threatened by a fleet of alien invaders known as the Oni, Ataru is selected to represent humanity in a duel against one of them. It is a stroke of rare luck for Ataru that the duel is in fact a game of tag, and that his opponent is Lum, daughter of the Oni's leader, who places her personal dignity above victory, as Ataru finds out by seizing Lum's bikini top, and with it, victory. However, misfortune kicks in again when Lum mistakes Ataru's promise to marry his girlfriend, Shinobu Miyake, as the desire to wed Lum herself, and decides she rather likes the idea. Wielding her influence as an alien princess, she moves in with him. Forced to deal with the consequences of his womanizing ways, Ataru must balance his crumbling relationship with Shinobu while keeping Lum happy, all the while flirting with every woman he meets. Great. Great. Here's your one anime review of this, chat. By Scotty. Scotty. I'm gonna read it. As a general rule, people usually forget what has come before. For anime fans, particularly those who aren't Japanese, that's you, chat, this is all too often the case, as new shows are hailed as the best ever, groundbreaking, or original, while completely ignoring what influenced them in the first place. Urusei Yatsura may not be, it's not, the greatest series in the history of anime, but it ranks right up there in the top 5 most influential of all time. Urusei Yatsura is the first of Rumiko Takahashi's work to receive an anime adaptation. It centers on what today a tried and true anime concept. A beautiful alien girl, Lum, falls in love with a rather ordinary and none-too-bright boy, Ataru. While this may or may not have been the first time this has ever been put on film, you can be sure that this was the first time it was done so successfully, and thus spawning decades of future imitators. Add in a cast of gorgeous girls and other zany and outrageous characters and a memorably stupid and lecherous leading man, you have a framework for an amusing series. However, for modern fans, of a few things that are missing from the show will likely affect the overall enjoyment. For starters, Urusei is almost a completely episodic anime with nothing in regards to an overriding storyline. Once characters have been introduced into the series canon, they change little, if at all. Because of the nature of this format, it may make many episodes completely predictable and annoyingly repetitive. A basic episode revolves around Ataru chasing girls, Lum becoming angry, followed by Lum electrocuting him. Additionally, quite a few characters are nauseatingly annoying or generally grate on your nerves and outstay their welcome. All that being said, when Urusei Yatsura is good, it's really good. But any viewer determined to take the leap into the series would be wise to savor it slowly over time. Over the several years I spent watching this series, I found a few episodes at a time was the best I could manage in any given sitting. I would suggest at the pace for anyone as well. If you are interested in the history of anime, Urusei Yatsura should be near the top of your list. While most fans may not be familiar with most, if not all, the characters, everyone is familiar with them as they live on today, for being pioneered in this series. The alien girl Lum remains today, even 30 years later, as one of the most iconic figures in anime. It's pretty much impossible to dislike Lum. Most people think of her as a tsundere type character, but she's not. Lum is honest with her feelings and incredibly jealous. Add her electrocuting powers, she makes for a girl I don't think any man with a brain would dare defy or cheat on. Since Ataru is an idiot, he doesn't even learn though. Despite her jealousy and frequent use of her powers, she never comes across as a bully or a bitch. More often than not, you find yourself feeling a little sorry for her that she has fallen for such an unfaithful and idiotic man. Love is blind, they say. For Ataru, he is an unrepentant louse and womanizer, in addition to being a complete idiot. You might think that because of his personality that he would not be a likable character either, but that's not the case at all. Despite his odious character defects, he remains a charming and likable character throughout the series, whether you just like his antics or like watching him in pain or being punished. While it becomes obvious that Ataru really does care for Lum, his womanizing and rejection of Lum's advances seem to be out of a desire not to be tied down or in liking being chased. Even though he is completely and totally unsuccessful in wooing any woman other than Lum, he never seems to give up. The supporting cast is enormous, as one would expect from a series of this length. The results are mixed because many characters have extreme personalities. I often found they become annoying if they were featured too often. Shinobu stars as Ataru's girlfriend and vies for her affection in the early parts of the series. She is one of the rare exceptions to change over the course of the series. I was glad to see her not pine over Ataru for the entire series, though she took a rather strange turn from being an ordinary Japanese girl to being a super strong girl. Mendo also shines as the super rich boy who is adored by all the girls except the one he most wants, Lum. But in actuality, he is just as much of a womanizer as Ataru is. He makes for an excellent foil. Others, like Jariten, Ran, Megane, are generally amusing but tend to get on your nerves if they have too much screen time. Cherry and Minonosuke's father are always annoying and generally made me swing for the desire to punch a hole through my television and projectile vomiting. Ah, yes. From an artistic standpoint, due to its success, it's likely to influence character designs for an entire generation and eventually lead to what we have today. I think you can probably trace the origins of Moe back to at least the series, as the thin, lanky, and elegant body types of the 70s give a way younger, chubbier, and cuter looking ones. Despite its age, though, and the peculiarities of the animation from the era, it still looks fabulous. The characters are extremely expressive and have enough dissimilarity that they are easily indistinguishable from each other with only a few exceptions. Say your performances are first rate and bring out the characters to perfection. Whether it be Lum's anger or Ataru's preferred giggling, you can't help but be drawn into Urusei's universe. The series features many different OP and EDs that vary from your standard J-poppy tunes that wouldn't be out of place today, and very dated English disco tracks. It's old enough now that you may just have some 80s nostalgia. And my opinion, everyone should give this series a watch. While it certainly isn't an easy viewing experience, getting through it will give you an appreciation for the history of animation in Japan and an insight on Japanese pop culture. Not to mention, it's also pretty damn funny. Well, there you go, chat. Urusei Yatsura. That was 10 minutes well spent. Yo, Ninja Hattori-kun? It's not even good. Chat, when are we gonna get to the anime that I know? When do we get to the anime that streamer knows? Mega Bunkle. Time Bokon. The Kabarochi wine. This shit just goes on forever, man. Minky Momo! Minky Momo! Chat, you've seen the story of Minky Momo, right? I think we talked about that on stream before. Minky Momo was a show that was like, they thought it was gonna end, and they ran her over. Yeah, she got hit by a truck. And I was like, what the fuck? But it turned out the series could continue, so she was like, she recovered. Yeah, I watched a video on that on stream, I think. I don't remember exactly, but I know I watched a video on it. Captain TV, 1983. Kinikuman! Kinikuman! 1983. Kinikuman is a superhero. A bad one. Then one day, a person called Meat tells Kinikuman that he is the prince of an alien planet. Kinikuman must save the day, numerous times fighting evil Chojins and competing in tournaments to prove himself to his family and to gain respect and money. Let me tell you something important, chat. That synopsis is bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. For a while, anyway. Broken Jr. It's great. Ramen man, look at this guy. Look at this guy. That's Ramen Man, right there. Look at this guy. Yo, look at that popularity. You're more popular than Kinikuman himself. Insane. What a guy. He's a great character, though. Ramen Man's a great character. Yep. Robin Mask is so cool. Look at him. Dan Green? No fucking way. Dan Green? I had no idea. I didn't watch the dub, mind you, but wow. Actually, maybe this is for Ultimate Muscle. Thank you for the raid, Christian. I had no idea Dan Green voiced Robin Mask. Crazy. Warsman is cool. Look at this guy. Insane. Whoa, look at this. Look at this. Look at all this information. Oh yeah, there's no English one for Warsman, so it must be for Ultimate Muscle. Okay. Kinikuman, one of the pioneers of modern shonen anime. It makes me sad that the series like these are barely recognizable outside Japan, and mainstream anime like nowadays don't captivate me as much as the 80s anime. Hokuto no Ken, Kinikuman, City Hunter, Otokojuko, At least a sequel, Kinikuman Nisei, also known in the West, Ultimate Muscle, gained more attention. So without further ado, let me give you an opinion on the classic Kinikuman. Thank you, Fatal Destruction, for the resub. Story, 8 out of 10. The story is simple. Suguru Kiniku, known as Kinikuman, Muscle Man in English, is the son of a king and queen of planet Kiniku and the heir to the throne. When he was a baby, his father mistook him for a pig when there was a real pig right beside him and threw him out of a spaceship when Suguru landed on Earth. So Suguru wanted to become a superhero more than anything, and he wants to protect the Earth from evil monster attacks, but he is so clumsy and stupid that he can't do anything right. He then gains a kid sidekick named Meat, who also hails from planet Kiniku. Meat is his advisor, and though he tries to help Suguru through his life and training, he's also subjected to his clumsiness and most times loses his temper. The story then progresses from being a parody to training. Oh, hold on. To the superhero genre towards a more serious, over-the-top wrestling genre. That's when it gets good. I'm telling you. Here's where the series starts to lose its comedic tone to become an epic, manly, action-filled anime. Through the episodes, Kinikuman becomes even better and stronger thanks to his intense training and wrestling matches against bizarre but tough enemies. He evolves from being a joke superhero to be a respected hero that definitely fits to be the heir of planet Kiniku. The series is also known for the power of friendship, which means that thanks to the support of your friends, there is nothing that will stop you. Art, 6 out of 10. The art is pretty much dated. This is an anime that came out in 1983. The manga came in 1979. So if art was good for its time, but now that we see it, it's not so great. But I love all the goofiness around its anime, so at 6 it's fair. Soundtrack is epic. 80s vibe never gets old. However, the sound effects are pretty old and repetitive, but that's what you should expect from 80s anime. Characters, 8 out of 10. The series is very good thanks to its character development. Kinikuman evolves from being a clumsy and childish superhero wannabe to a strong, dedicated, respected, and manly fighter. The same goes for Teriman! That goes from being a superhero that only fights for greed towards a friendly and respected warrior and becomes Suguru's most trusted friend alongside Meat. Robin Mask also overwent a great transformation in his personality from being a ruthless villain who seemed to only wanting to destroy others towards a highly respected fighter that fights with honor and later became Kinikuman's ally. Enjoyment. The series is action-packed, filled with many scenes, but also great comedy. The first episode also kind of episodic, being Kinikuman's attempt to fight alien monsters but to no avail and only for comedy purposes. But during the progression of the anime, we see a more serious fighting anime with epic over-the-top action and even some manly tears. Overall, I really like Kinikuman. The series is really known in Japan, but it's a shame that outside of Asia it's barely recognizable. I really think this anime should need a remake with the current animation nowadays. Perhaps maybe it would attract more viewers thanks to the power of the internet. I wish I could do to Kinikuman the same they did with Tiger Mask. Sure that Ultimate Muscle is more recent to the original series, but Kinikuman I think is even better. The more memorable scenes, epic fights, comedy, and of course manliness. Chat, I'm pretty sure that Kinikuman is getting yeah, right here. March 16th. Kinikuman is getting a new anime series. Yeah. 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 10 anime banned around the world. I don't want to click that. Hey chat, you want to know something cool about Ramen Man Victory? Why is his name Victory? You want to know something cool about Ramen Man? He turned a man to ramen. Let me see if I can find it. I know you don't believe me. Let me find it. Kinikuman Ramen Man turns Brocken Man into ramen. I'm looking, hold on. No, that's the fighting game. That one? No. I don't see it. I can't find it. Hold on. Hold on. I might have found it. Video unavailable? No! No! Okay. Sorry, chat. I can't find a video of it. But yes, Ramen Man, he literally snaps a guy's spine and then turns him into ramen and eats him. No bullshit. Actually, no bullshit. Oh, man. Alright, goodness gracious. Keep going. 1983. Alright, 1983. And now, 1984. This year's kind of, ooh, scary year. Lupin the Third Part 2. Look at this shit, man. Look at this. Only one? And there's Fist of the North Star. Yep. Boku no Ken came out fall 1984. Oh, I skipped one. Oh, I highly doubt it matters. It's crazy to see somehow some of these. There's Dragon Ball. Oh, I don't have that on the list. Oh, I've watched all of Dragon Ball. Completed. Put that on my list. Yep, I've seen all of Dragon Ball. When did we get to the stuff that I recognize? Like the big stuff, right? I've watched all of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT long ago, and Dragon Ball Super. So, yeah, I've been around the block. I've been around the Dragon Ball. Man, this 80s stuff. Oh my Jesus Christ. Oh shit. What the fuck? He's so... look at that jawline. That's the Crimson Chin. I want to see when the style like slowly shifts from 80s style to 90s. Well, we're kind of getting there with the 88. The moe eyes are coming in. Chat, what series do you like really establish the moe eyes, do you think? I feel like it was Air. Like when Ki put out Air. Oh, that's Ranma. I know Ranma. Never watched it. I wanted to watch it, but it seems like it doesn't really go anywhere, so it wasn't worth putting the time into it. There was a Ramen Man show. He was really popular. Like, he was really popular. And for good reason. He's a great character. Oh, The Laughing Salesman. This one's a classic, apparently. They rebooted it some time ago, but it failed miserably. But also, like, the rating's also pretty bad. But here's the thing, chat. You gotta look at the views on it as well, right? Because there aren't gonna be many reviews at all with less people. That's a big thing you gotta pay attention to for this. That looks familiar. Okay, now we're coming up to the art style. Miku? Oh, magical girls are coming up in the world. A lot of magical girls in Mecha, huh? Alright, now we're 1990s. What is this? Is that a cat? RPG Densetsu Heppoi. The Adventures of Heppoi, a hero of Heppoitis. Ryoto, the Princess of Draconia. Mia, a fairy, looks like a cat. And Bunzaimon, a merchant. Feature Kunis, a king of dark castles. Yeah, that's a cat lady with boobs. There are no reviews. No one's ever talked about this. You could be the first, chat. You could be the first to put a review on that. Very few of these. City Hunter. Oh, got a pretty good score. 91. 91. Oh, the Dragon Quest show. Okay. There's Kinikuman Season 2. Oh, I haven't watched that. Oh, it's a Minky Momo movie, I think. Oh, no, it's not. What is this? The events of the first series. I ain't reading that shit. Minky Momo! It's coming in. Some studios are getting it. Crown Shinchan, baby. Crown Shinchan. Episodes unknown. April 13th, 1992 to question mark. Oh, man. What the... What the... Whoa! Look at that! Look at that side story page! Oh my god. Kamen Rider! No way. What? Okay. What is this fucker? What? I don't even care, dude. No, I don't care. I don't care what Crown Shinchan is. No one should care what Crown Shinchan is. Don't worry about it. Oh man. I had no idea it was that cracked. It's like a Dragon Ball. It might have more movies than Dragon Ball and Conan, actually. Yadamam. 1992. Yu Yu Hakusho! Yo! Yo! Yu Yu Hakusho, 1992. The show that was saved by becoming battler. One fateful day, Yusuke Urameshi, a 14-year-old delinquent with a dim future, gets a miraculous chance to turn it all around when he throws himself in front of a moving car to save a young boy. His ultimate sacrifice is so out of character that the authorities of the spirit realm are not yet prepared to let him pass on. Koima, heir to the throne of the spirit realm, offers Yusuke an opportunity to regain his life through completion of a series of tasks with the guidance of the death god Botan. He is to thwart evil presences on Earth as a spirit detective. To help him in this venture, Yusuke enlists ex-rival Kazuma Kuwabara and two demons, Hiei and Kurama, who have criminal pasts. Together they train and battle against enemies who would threaten humanity's very existence. So this show started different, and then it turned into a shonen battle. And it got really good. I love this guy. Look at this guy. Kazuma Kuwabara. Motherfucker's so cool. He had a spirit sword. Yusuke's spirit gun. And then Botan. Whoo! Whoo! Botan! Yep. 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 Why is she blonde? Yep. The boys get me. The boys get it. The boys get it. Oh, man. How big is this? I'll start off by saying I'm no longer a big fan of fighting-based anime. However, I still do enjoy the ones that are well done, as well as some of the classics. That said, if you really don't like fighting anime of the sort, even the ones with decently or really good story, then don't bother reading this review, because I can already tell you this anime is most likely not for you. Anyways, for those of you who do like well-constructed fighting action anime, Yu Yu Hakusho is an outstanding show in a category overall. Yes, it is a shonen. Yes, it does have a few of those typical shonen cliches. However, it also manages to come up with a lot of very unique and inventive ideas. And its dialogue, above average story, and much more depth to it than what you'd expect from a shonen, an actual good sense of humor when compared to most other action anime, makes the title stand out from the crowd. I find the characters to be the real award-winning winners here. They each have something unique and interesting about them. Upon first glance, they may look like they have each of their own one-dimensional cliche roles of an action series, but upon further viewing, you will see that there's more than meets the eye with Yu Yu Hakusho's characters. I can guarantee that throughout the course of the show, anyone watching it would find at least one character which they can truly appreciate. Also, the show doesn't just focus on the main character getting stronger and also being the big hero. There's been a very interesting character development for many of the characters and way in which they interact with one another, as well as the diversity and similarities that they show, makes for a very balanced chemistry between the cast. The animation artwork isn't top-notch, even for its time, but it's adequate and gets the job done. The action isn't amazing, but believe it or not, unlike most action shown in anime, this anime often tends to focus more on developing its story and characters, rather than producing a lot of mindless action. And at that, even if it doesn't look all that great, it is great to see actual strategy and emotions playing big parts in many of the fights, rather than simply just having a bunch of punches, kicks, throws, explosions, etc. taken in multiple episodes. Now, as for the music, it's really all a pinata. Some people won't find it to be anything special. I personally fell in love with the entire soundtrack of the series, and believe it or not, it had some of the best BGM that I've heard in any shonen anime. It doesn't quite give you the same diversity and overall satisfaction that the soundtracks of Cowboy Bebop and a few other anime with great musical scores give you. But once again, it's far above average when compared to most other shonen and action anime, or at least I feel that way about its music personally. And then finally, there's the voice acting. Oh, and how wonderful it is. Well, if you're watching the sub, then chances of the voice will stand out to you as adequate, yet nothing amazing. But as long as you're watching a decent and reliable fan sub, or the DVDs, you will love the dialogue, which is brilliant in its use of sarcasm and jokes, and also in delivering many of the serious and plot-orientated lines. However, if you're an English speaker, even if you typically can't stand dubs, the English dub is the way that the series should be watched. The English voice acting is absolutely fantastic. The voices all fit their respective characters almost perfectly. Sure, the dialogue may not be 100% accurate in correspondence to the original lines from the sub, with its added humor and sarcasm, which is well worth going a little off track from the original script for, though. But the messages that each character get across with their lines are delivered solidly and be interpreted and understood in the same way, whether you were watching the sub or the dub. So overall, the dub is loyal to the original text, despite the fact that it makes very noticeable changes and states some lines in different ways. Overall, Yu Yu Hakusho is a very fun and enjoyable series. This anime is not something that everybody's going to like, but most people should at least find something about it that keeps them interested. It's not a DBZ clone, and it's not just a mindless excuse for intense action scenes. The show is fairly long, but it's one of the few series that goes over 100 episodes and still manages to stay fresh the whole way through. Therefore, I highly recommend this series. I personally find it to be one of the best series that anime has to offer, action or otherwise, and I know that many people would disagree with me, although I'm not really a big anime buff. But I have watched my fair share of anime, and I almost never give out 10s of scores since no series is perfect, and this anime is no exception, but when I feel that a series deserves it, that I give out that score, and Yu Yu Hakusho is one of the few. If you haven't seen it yet, go out and give it a try. I can almost guarantee you that you won't be sorry. I had a Game Boy Advance game of this series, and I don't think I definitely haven't watched the entire series, but I have watched a good chunk of it in my time. But I can't put it as completed. Still, it's a classic. It's a good one too. It's a very good classic. You don't need me to tell you that though. You've probably heard of Yu Yu Hakusho. Look at all the look at all this filler it released with. Are you seeing this? Look at this. This was the second most popular show to come out in that year. Hime-chan no Ribbon. They really just dropped a bomb. They just dropped a bomb of a series here like that. And it's like, yes, one of the greatest anime of all time. Crazy. Insane. This is not music. Great Fairy Wars. Fairy Wars. Great song. Thanks, son. Mireko painting. Oh, Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon. Yep, 1993. Slam Dunk. Now that's a classic. I've never seen it. But I've heard of it. What the fuck is this? Jungle no Uja Tarchan. Tachan is king of jungle. He was abandoned in savannah, raised by chimpanzee Etkichi. He has dearest wife Jane, who used to be top model in New York, but now she looks anyway. To protect animals from poachers, Tachan is fighting against them with disciple Pedro and master of Chinese martial arts Ryo. Okay. Etkichi. Yep. 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 Hates it. This guy hates it. I ain't gonna worry about a Tarzan parody, don't worry. Slam Dunk. There's some more Sailor Moon. Chat, I was born in 1996. Just in case you were wondering. Wow. It's like looking at a piece of anime history. There's a fucking Gundam every 2 years. Oh, Slayer started in 1995. I still have yet to really, like, sit down and watch that. Maybe I will at some point. But there's a lot of it, so it's kind of overwhelming. There's more Sailor Moon. They had a lot of Sailor Moon going. God, there was a lot of mech. Look at this. Street Fighter 2 5. No, hold on. You seen that guy's face? Oh. What? Oh. Oh. Oh, I don't want to be there anymore. I don't want to be in there anymore. These are sorted by most popular, by the way. That's why you're always going to see, like, the big ones up top. They're sorted by viewership, not rating. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Oh, man. Mixed feelings. Hold on. This one got a crazy amount of... Whoa. 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 Oh. Whoa. Chat, what do you think? What do you think? Do we read it? Do we yap? This guy put a lot of effort into this. Do we do it? What's my motivation to do it? Alright, I'll do it. But every 35 seconds, you need to post a nodders emote. Like you're paying attention and following along, okay? That's all I need from you, chat. Ready? Here we go. Since so many people have requested this over the years, as there's a new system in place, I'm adding my 2009 review for this series, which was originally posted on my blog here on Mal. 2007 was written in response to the obtuse fans that were here at the time, and will remain if the reviewers removing it completely would serve no purpose. It's also a reminder to me of something important. Neon Genesis Evangelion is one of the most debated animes in history. Some would argue that there are numerous hidden messages in the show, while others argue that it simply plays up to certain ideology of the world. Whatever the case may be, NGE established itself as a hot topic in anime for well over a decade. NGE first saw the light of day as manga by Yoshiyuki Sadamoto and was published in Shonen Ace magazine from February 1994. Its purpose was to raise awareness and public interest in the anime version that was to be released in October the following year. The anime was directed by the famous Hideaki Anno and is hailed by many fans as his masterpiece, although there are numerous people who disagree with this point of view. Animation. The animation in NGE is actually very well done considering the time it was made, and the fact that Gainax was running out of cash. The color palette used for the show was decidedly bright in many ways, and at the time it contrasted well with the series' tone of the story. The characters were well designed for the most part, but the real breakthrough in terms of design was the Eva units and the Angels. NGE pushed the boundaries of mecha design and anime to a new level, something that no other show at the time could achieve. It also wasn't afraid to show an enemy who had no visible relation to humans, something that was a rarity in those days, although Anno had used a similar technique in Top wo Nerari. The animation of the show is generally very fluid, and although there are some few notable flaws, they don't actually impede the enjoyment of the show. Sound. The sound of NGE is very good in general. The VAs in the Japanese version are very good, and are able to deliver a greater depth of emotion than their American counterparts. The effects used are also quite good, but never really stood out as much, partially because of the overwhelming visuals, and partially because they were generally stock effects. The music is generally good throughout the show, with a mixture of classical and other styles scattered here and there. One of the most memorable things about the music in NGE is the theme tune. Anno had originally wanted to use Porovitistinin dances as the theme music for each episode, but was overruled by TV Tokyo, who felt that it would confuse and alienate the audience. Instead, he settled on that would become the most played anime theme tune in history, A Cruel Angel's Thesis, which was performed by Takahashi Yoko. Characters. This is the area where NGE failed as an anime. Prior to making NGE, Hideaki Ano had suffered from depression for a while, and the characters in NGE were created in such a manner as to reflect his struggle against mental illness. Each of his characters is flawed in different ways, something that was unusual in anime at the time. Given Ano's talent as a director, this should have led to some interesting and highly original character development. Unfortunately, the show failed in this area because of one key factor: Ikari Shinji. For many people like myself, the main issue we have with the show isn't the story or the animation or the sound, it's the characters, and in particular, Ikari Shinji. In creating him, Ano and the rest of the production team lost focus on the other characters. Shinji is not your typical hero in that he isn't courageous or handsome or intelligent. In fact, Shinji considers himself to be worthless. The issue I have is that the show focuses far too much on Shinji, almost to the extent where the other characters were simply plot devices for his development, and not enough on the characters around him. That's not to say Shinji is a bad character. He's not. The problem is that one can only stomach so much unjustified self-pity, which unfortunately most of it was in his case, before wanting to slap some sense into the person in question. It's been pointed out to me that Shinji wanted to kill himself because he thought he was worthless, and that he should be pitied because of the bad hand he was dealt. I'm sorry, but that argument doesn't wash with me. If someone truly wants to kill themselves, then they will. Jesus Christ, 2007 didn't play games. So Shinji didn't really want to die. In addition to that, I know quite a few people who have been dealt with the worst hands possible, yet they did not whine and complain about it, and many of these people did consider themselves to be useless, worthless at one time or another, yet they suffered in silence for the most part. What Shinji wanted was for people to pity him and tell him he wasn't worthless, and while it's not necessarily a bad thing, it was overused in NGE to the point where I wanted to put him out of his misery, and not because I pitied him. The fact that Shinji's character has a tendency to ram his sense of worthlessness into the faces of other characters is what put me off, as that type of behavior is usually for attention rather than a cry for help, and because of the show's focus on Shinji, you can imagine how much I wanted to hit him afterwards. It wasn't that I didn't understand, it was just that they failed to depict him as an object of pity, and instead he came across as a whining, self-pitying, attention-seeking, and generally loathsome person. Chat, you're nodding, but I can tell you're not actually paying attention. Wake up! Pay attention! Alright, back to it. As for the other characters, in particular Rei and Asuka, they did get a certain amount of development through the series. Unfortunately, though, their characters, as well as the rest of the cast, were overshadowed by the mammoth amount of development given to Shinji. Story. I actually quite enjoy the concept behind NGE, as it made for a nice change of pace. I did, however, have some issues with the convenient Deus Ex Machina of Unit 1, as well as a number of other coincidences that were scattered throughout the series. By the way, Chad, I forgot to mention, but sometimes these reviews have spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled on a show you plan to watch, just mute and skip until it's off the text, I guess. I don't know. Where was I? The story itself isn't all that original. It was clearly borrowed elements from other sci-fi stories, which made the story seem to be original. That was the inclusion of pseudo-religious and pseudo-philosophical concepts, as well as the inclusion of Freudian psychology. These form core elements of the story, so what would have been standard Save the Earth scenario became a dive into the psyche of the characters. The basic plot is borrowed directly from Space Battleship Yamamoto, and the idea of young people protecting the Earth was used by Ano himself and Tatwa with Narari. Unfortunately, the story breaks down in several places. Ano tries to make the show that merged all perspectives into one single view, and while he managed to achieve this in some measure, he failed because he focused too much on Shinji to the extent that no other options were ever considered. Here's what I mean. NERV is a quasi-militaristic outfit, and as such would generally have backup options available to them. The convenient Deus Ex Machina I mentioned earlier effectively removes all chance for anyone else to come to the fore, except for Shinji, that is. If the viewer is to be believed that the organization such as NERV was supposed to protect the Earth, then they would at the very least look for other options, especially considering Shinji's character flaws. This would effectively mean that they would have at least some combat veterans or trained soldiers who could handle the Ava units. The use of teenagers as the leads in the show was simply so that they would appeal to a teenage audience. Another area where the story breaks down is its use of religious symbology. Many fans believe that this is shown in NGE is taken directly from religious beliefs, in particular Kabbalism, Judaism, and Christianity. While the names used in the show may be true to the religions, though, in many cases the manner in which the reference is used is actually based on Ano's own definition, rather than the religious viewpoint, something to which Ano has been heavily criticized. Pay attention, please! In truth, the religious symbology used in the show is really only to give the series an edge over other giant robot anime, i.e. Macross and Gundam, and all the variations and interpretations since have been ascribed to it as the viewers rather than the creators, which has been very well documented. One big plot hole that I noticed, and one that should have been obvious to most people as well, was Shinji's isolationist attitude and Gendo's reaction to it. It's obvious to anyone who's watched the series that Gendo feels little sympathy towards Shinji. However, due to that convenient plot device using Unit A1, O1 I mentioned earlier, Gendo needs Shinji to pilot the Ava unit. So what you effectively have is the leader of a militaristic organization who feels little for others, and a teenager who's supposed mental instabilities. This being the case, why wasn't Gendo forcibly dosing Shinji with meds to make him more compliant? If your purpose is to protect the Earth and its people from attack by extremely powerful beings, and you're basically a selfish person with your own agenda, and conscious and paternal instincts don't come into it. You simply do what's necessary no matter what anyone else says. It's interesting that the whole psychology angle is only really supposed to apply to Shinji, isn't it? Characters like Gendo have been toned down because their actions would have drawn too much attention to themselves. Another convenient plot device. Enjoyment. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a tough show to rate. According to Anno, if you're a normal, well-rounded person, then you won't learn anything from the show. While this may be true in some cases, the things that one can learn from the show are juvenile at best. Many of the older fans of NGE have a tendency to view the show through the rose-tinted lens of nostalgia, and while this is not a bad thing, it inhibits the ability to view the show objectively. Many of the younger fans, on the other hand, are fiercely loyal to the show and have a tendency to react harshly to any criticism of the show. The unfortunate side effect of this is that when the show gained a certain notoriety that it could have done without, and many people who would watch the show for the first time do so with certain preconceived notions already embedded in their heads. This is true for most popular stuff. NGE is one of those shows that could have been great. Unfortunately, the glaring flaws in the plot, coupled with the lack of development amongst the other characters in comparison to Shinji, meant that I, at least, only found the show to be mediocre. NGE was a letdown for me, as I'm a big fan of Top no Nowari, a show that's effectively the older sibling of NGE, and is considered by quite a few people to be a superior show. I'm not going to suggest anyone watch the show, as that is a decision you should make for yourself. Likewise, the choice of whether you love it or hate it is something only you can decide. The only thing I can say about the show is that while watching it, be as objective as you can. NGE is no Tatway no Nari by any measure, but it is a classic. Unfortunately, it really isn't Anno's best work, and the rebuild is making the same errors all over again. Alright chat, you stop nodding. Don't stop nodding, we're not done. There's more. And here's the review that originally graced the page. It's a bit billowy and lowbrow, but it served its purpose, which contrary to you may think wasn't simply to upset the hardcore fans. Oh, okay, chat, this is the old review. Okay, no, we read the new review. Well, I'm not reading the old review, never mind. You can stop nodding. So, chat, I've never seen Evangelion. My friend tried to show me the movie, and I did not give a flying fuck. So, Evangelion is not my show, and I have zero, like less than zero desire to ever watch it. There you go. Dragon Ball GT was 1996. Wow. That's when Conan started as well. Wow. And Kitaro. Wow. I mean, it's got a bad rating, but that shit is sticking around. What is this? This has got a crazy score. 94 episodes. Samurai Wandering. Whoa. Chat, you ever see this one? You ever see this one? Rurouni Kenshin? It looks very 90s. Never heard of it, no. Looks pretty cool. I feel like I've seen that guy in the red, though. Well, shit. How about that? That's another mech. Jigoku Sensei. Horror. Zoro. We're getting there. It's getting a remake. Yo, I know this guy. Kochira Kakushika. That's like the longest running manga in history, isn't it? September 1976 to 2016. Wow. 40 years. I think it's just about some, like a cop. Underpaid policemen always come with underhanded schemes to make a quick buck, but in the end, his plans that would ridiculously begin with always go wrong, led him in big trouble with the chief. Oh. I see. It's a lot of chapters. Never heard of that, never heard of that, never heard of that, never heard of that, never heard of that. Man, mecha was huge back then, huh? There's not a lot of mecha nowadays compared to this. Man. Don't know any of this, don't know any of this. Don't know any of this, don't know any of this, nope. 1997. Don't know any of this. Nope, don't know any of this, don't know any of this. Nope. 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 Goemon, what? Okay. Goemon special. Outstar. Seiho Bukyo Outlaw Star. I've heard of this one. I've heard of this one. I've never seen it though. Because I know this girl. I know this girl. And that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That is the only thing I've seen of this show. I cannot speak anymore. I can't speak anymore. No more words. No more words, streamer. Keep your mouth shut. Here it's pretty good, yeah. Cardcaptor Sakura, that was a classic. That was a classic, yep. Oh yeah. Seija uses her key. It's one of her items she pulls. Hey, look, it's Nico. Remember Nico? God damn. He loves it. Alright, we're reading it. Cardcaptor Sakura is perhaps the best Mahou Shoujo anime produced. It's more than just a classic or a title that's influential. It's an example of a series that was not afraid to take risks and defy common conventions of the genre in order to maximize quality. And while Cardcaptor Sakura may seem like a standard Mahou Shoujo anime at first glance, there's a lot more depth here than a cursory glance might reveal. The premise itself is fairly typical for a Mahou Shoujo anime. A happy-go-lucky girl suddenly come across a magical... What? Okay. Okay. A happy-go-lucky girl suddenly comes across magical powers and begins her quest alongside a cute lion-like caricature serving as her guardian and mentor. Sakura's role as the chief protagonist is to capture the 53 magical cards of Chloe Reed, each inhabiting a unique power that inconveniences Sakura and the people around her in some way. Some of these cards are immensely powerful, including the ability to manipulate time and dreams, while others are fairly weak or trivial in comparison and encompass smaller abilities like creating flowers and making objects float. After Sakura fights against the power behind the card and then seals it away, it becomes part of her possession that she can use at will. At least this is how the story first seems. The series is largely changed and complicated with the introduction of the deuteragonist in the 8th episode, Xiaorin Li, a boy from Hong Kong, suddenly transfers into Sakura's class and disturbs the situation by antagonizing Sakura and competing for the Clo cards. Their relationship serves as the basis for the central theme of the series, as their feelings and relationship change as they develop immensely from rivals to friends and finally lovers. It's a very gradual change, and it's paced well enough that it feels completely natural, a change you might not even notice without retrospect. You contempt Lee when he's first introduced, and by the end you grow to enjoy his presence as much as Sakura herself. Shoujo series are a bit infamous for their overly idealized and sudden romances, but Cardcaptor Sakura is again an exception. There are certainly idealizing, sparkles, and bubbles, but the depth is there. The feelings between Sakura and Lee naturally grow and evolve over the course of the series, with no contrived events used to advance their relationship. There's not even a confession by the end of the 70th episode run, yet there is no need for one as the anime has already communicated how strongly the two feel for each other. Character interaction and body language are used to express this. Not conveniences followed by dramatic outcomes. The end result is one of the most natural and endearing romances in anime. As a maho shoujo, it is good, but as a romance, it is excellent. Cardcaptor Sakura is mainly a lighthearted and fun series. Most of the entertainment revolves around Sakura's interaction with the characters, most notably her guardian, Keroberos, endearingly shortened to Sakura by Sakura to Kero-chan. And her closest friend Tomoyo, who often goes along with her to the scene of each card to record footage on her camcorder. Other important characters include Sakura's beleaguering older brother Toya and the object of her affections, Yukito, a friend of Toya whom she holds a large crush towards. Still, the series does eventually take a more serious turn in the second half after the initial card collection draws to its close. Some characters reveal hidden sides that will surprise the audience, and certain side characters develop and become integral to the story. At no point does the show ever feel too silly or too serious. It's a perfect blend of the two. Interestingly, there are several elements that deviate from the conventions of most maho shoujo anime. There isn't a traditional transformation sequence in the anime, nor one unique outfit that Sakura wears when using magic. Instead, she wears normal clothing like a regular girl, or rather whatever silly costume her friend Tomoyo decides to dress her up in before the event. This adds a lot of variety to the action sequences and gives the audience a small something to look forward to each episode. Despite its young demographic and reputation as a family-friendly anime, there's also some surprisingly taboo topics that are covered in the anime. There's the forbidden love between teacher and student, and homosexual feelings between two important characters. The anime does not use any of these elements as shock value, though, simply presenting them as is with no moral connotation. Love is the main theme of CCS, and the amount of detail put into the relationship of even periphery characters is certainly commendable. God, how I wish we were back in 1997, 1998, huh? When you could just include these things and have not try to, you know, for no politically charged meaning. Those were the nicer days, huh? On the other hand, the music here is nothing short of stunning. Some of the songs that play in the series, such as the first opening and the track used when capturing a card, are classics that will stick to your head and be remembered fondly for a very long time. More than simply enhancing the experience, these tracks are a large part of what makes the anime what it is. The soundtrack is by far one of the most defining and important aspects of perhaps one of the best in the anime. You know, chat, this actually reminds me. I heard on Vinny's stream last night that apparently The Witcher Season 4, you know, because Henry Cavill quit, the actress they casted for Yennefer, the director, like, went on record saying that when they casted the actor for that character, they did so to challenge traditional beauty standards. And I know that sounds super stunning and brave, but that just sounds like you insulted the shit out of your actress. You basically just called her ugly. Why would you say something like that? Why would you do something like that? I know why. Anyways, back to the match. That being said, Cardcaptor Sakura is definitely not without its flaws. One of the largest complaints can be put on the rather long length of the anime. At 70 episodes, it can certainly drag on to some parts of the story. While Clamp carefully tried to make each episode as engaging and interesting as possible, it's only natural that some episodes are weaker than others and that some events can be a bit predictable at times. Luckily, this mostly changes in the second half of the anime, where the story expands and takes a mostly different direction, with more emphasis put on the characters' relationships. As fun as this episode is, I can't help but feel like it would have been benefited from a shorter episode count in order to fit the story flow better. 50 episode story would have been a perfect fit, neither too long nor too short. Hold on. Got fucking jump scared by Yukari. Thank you, Poison Ivy, for the resub. It should be mentioned that the changes between the original Japanese version and the English localized Cardcaptors are very drastic, and certainly not in a good way. Music and names of the characters are changed, episodes are flipped and mixed together in odd and sometimes incoherent order, and important backgrounds and plot elements are minimized or removed completely. While certainly not unwatchable, it's a very toned down and poor imitation of a fantastic anime. You'd be doing yourself a huge disservice by watching any version except the original Japanese one. In a genre where conventions and inspiration form the crux of most stories, Cardcaptor Sakura is a brilliant title that breathes new life into the genre and anime as a whole. While not quite flawless, this is a classic that has exceeded its spot has acceded its spot as one of the most influential and quality anime titles in recent times. It's consistently high quality, entertaining, and sometimes thought-provoking anime that more than earned its widespread acclaim and influence. This is a title that shows that there is indeed a correlation in storytelling between creativity and quality. Cardcaptor Sakura has certainly earned its place in history. Chat, have you ever watched this show? I definitely remember seeing it on TV. I'm pretty sure Christian's watched the whole thing. I know he likes it. But I don't remember any real detail of Cardcaptor Sakura, but I definitely remember watching it on TV. Alright. Wow, look at all these things that came out. Initial D, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop. Hey chat, you want to hear a cool bug fact? You're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like it. I watched 3 episodes of Cowboy Bebop and got bored and stopped watching it. So, yeah. I watched 22 episodes of Trigun, and I couldn't figure out why I watched 22 episodes of Trigun, so I stopped watching it. So, yeah. That's my opinion of Cowboy Bebop and Trigun. Trigun seemed really cool, but it wasn't. But I kept watching, and then I stopped near the climax because I was bored. And Cowboy Bebop, I got an hour in, and I was like, eh. It didn't hook me. It didn't hook me. I figured the show has a huge reputation to the point where if you say you didn't enjoy it, then people insult you as a human being. It's kind of wild. But yeah, no, I just couldn't get into it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Who the fuck is that? Oh, this is the chat. This is the old Yu-Gi-Oh! This is season 0. Who the fuck is Nozuka Miho? What? That's not a character. Shut up. Anzu. Oh, yeah. Her name's not Taya. Your name's not Joey either. Seto Kaiba, Yugi Moto. They changed his name to Joey Wheeler. Taya Gardner. Tristan Taylor. This character got absolutely cut. I don't remember what Bakura's name is, actually. Yami Bakura. Yo. 3,000 plus. Nice. Alright. Yeah, this is season 0 when Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't, like, necessarily a card game. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was very weird. It was very weird. No, she didn't. Well, I don't know what happened to her because I never watched season 0, but she is not a character in the card game. Joey Wheeler. Initial D. This is the motherfucker that started Eurobeat. Look at the... Brother. That is absolutely gormless. That is so gormless. Recommended. Fake anime girl. Vroom vroom vroom. It's anime's most popular racing series. Initial D's. You gotta look for the funny chat. The funny review. This one's gotta go. Okay. A constant. Initial D stars Takumi Fujiwara, a constantly spaced out and quiet gas station worker with no hobbies or interests in life. The normally reserved Takumi is forced into the spotlight when his incredible talent for street racing is discovered. Honed by years of doing tofu deliveries for his father's business, Takumi is forcibly encouraged by his coworkers and friends into putting his racing abilities to the test in order to defend Akina's hometown pride. Takumi, who first considered racing completely uninteresting and in cars a bore, gradually discovers the sense of accomplishment and pride his new skills bring. He's even more desperate to prove himself as a racer with his car-sick love interest complements his smooth driving. Takumi is supported by his best friend and racing fanatic, Itsuki, as well as upperclassman elite racer the Akino Speedstars, Ikitani. Also important are the opponents Takumi races against, most notably the Takahashi brothers, elite racers whose region-ruling elder brother Takahashi analytically plots to defeat the new unstoppable racer. Initial D's cast is generally realistic and likable, with mild yet distinct personality archetypes. Characters are passionate about their hobby and take it seriously, but winning or losing at the sport is hardly considered the end of the world. Takumi's interest in cars and racing grows at an appropriately slow pace, and noticing the nuances of his changed perspective on the subject is rewarding and feels natural. But beyond that, little of the cast evolves as people. Takumi's hobby brings out a competitive spirit in him, but he remains unassertive and distant throughout the season. It's endearing at first when Takumi is the underdog, his lack of charisma going full circle and becoming genuine charisma when contrasted with his confident opponents. But the small range of his personality gets old. His incompetent relationship with his Natsuki is cute and does evolve throughout the show, but is otherwise uninteresting to follow. Natsuki has no involvement with the part of the show having to do with racing, and the chemistry is only supported by the childhood friend angle. I had no idea why Natsuki would be interested in a guy who only gives one-word responses, doesn't start conversations, and has no interest in hobbies, but she's all over him. The supporting cast is weak because everyone plays different comic cheerleader to Takumi. The screeching and melodramatic Itsuki straddles the fine line between endearing and unbelievably annoying, just barely landing on the former because of the few subplots that his most incompetency with racing and people despite his passion garners genuine sympathy from the viewer. Ikitani ends up listless outside of a short romantic subplot. He's supposed to be Akino's #1 racer until Takumi shows up. But what little we see of his driving ability is completely unimpressive and far from knowledgeable about racing compared to the rest of the cast. Takumi is also observed in the shadows by his father Bunta, a former street racer who was legendary in his time, and his boss Yuichi, an experienced driver and friend of Bunta. The main attraction of Initial D are the races, but there can be a lot of time between them spent on developing the next opponent, preparation, or comedy/daily life between the main characters, probably more so than most sports anime. This can occasionally be a drag as the races themselves are never in more than 3 episodes, with even the final race being a meager 2. The anime does assume a fair bit of prior knowledge regarding racing and car terminology on the viewer. It's arbitrary which parts are explained and to what detail. I had a particular problem following the physical logic of the races, where characters would explain how a technique was pulled off, but without any kind of visual aid. With little racing knowledge such as myself, hearing about how one car moved by shifting gravity and whatnot seems sensible, but it's difficult to envision and perfectly understand just through dialogue, and the simple racing animations also makes it hard to appreciate the creativity behind the races and the technique itself. While the frame rate of Initial D can be choppy and there might not be a lot of movement, the art itself is solid and pleasant to look at, for the most part. Many criticize the fish-like eyes and lips of the character designs, but they're meant to resemble original manga artist Shingeno Shuichi's art style and is distinct otherwise. So I like it. By far the most controversial aspect of Initial D's animation is the use of computer-generated 3D renders for the cars. CG animation was starting to catch on around this time, with many studios believing it was a natural evolution of anime. Initial D's studio jumped the gun on what was still a niche form of animation and haphazardly shoved it into their series in an attempt to look hip and progressive. The irony, as we know now, is that the CG is immediately the aspect of Initial D that dates it the most. Even though CG was a newer animation from the cell animation used otherwise, the older form is professionally done by experienced animators and was hit around a universal standard of quality of anime, while the CG is technologically primitive and employed by people who have less experience using it. Initial D's CG cars are basic models that lack texture to give them any realistic surface and have bold, flat colors that contrast heavily with the surrounding environment of 2D animation. So the animation styles clash, look ugly, and break through the series' cohesion. But what else? Hold on. Better. Perfect! Where am I now? Initial D Studio also uses the CG as an excuse to cut corners, as is often the case with CG ever since. One of the most notable things about scenes with CG in the frames is that the 2D cells they're on will be completely unanimated. Not only is this awkward, if you take the time to notice how everything in the background is as still as the tree as the car pulls up, but any attempts to mask the lack of movement frames is hilariously embarrassing. A constant technique used to have a CG car pass in front of a group of people in the background, such as driving along the road across the road horizontally. Then you have the still frame that the spectator swapped, another single frame, one looking in another direction. Cheap animation has been part of anime since its inception, but not often will you find a 90s anime that reminds you of Astro Boy of all things. And it really is laziness. I can count on one hand the amount of times the series had 2D animation in the same frame as CG animation, but they can clearly do it. There are also occasionally instances of disproportional scales and perspective, where a person standing by a car is way bigger than they should be given their distance. Use of CG also discourages use of traditional animation techniques to emphasize a sense of speed. There's no motion lines, blur, or anything of that sort to drive that sense of whiplash in your face. This makes the way the races are directed and portrayed far duller than they have to be, or should be. Without such things as those traditional techniques noted earlier, there are no ways to distinguish how fast the cars are going in the animation other than speeding up at the rate at which the CG model is dragged across the screen, which could look ridiculous. The visual dynamic of the races is extremely hindered in this way, as the cars going across the screen look the same no matter how many times they do it throughout the series. This means the drama and intensity of the races is primarily conveyed to the viewer, literally, by characters commenting on what's happening during the race or the sense of speed. But the audience should feel like a front row spectator, not needing to have it explained to them in a visual medium about racing at what the stakes are at the rhythm of the race is. The visuals should be shifted through the races to mimic the adrenaline rush and conflicts of the drivers themselves and recreate the dramatic perspective of what the characters are experiencing, rather than having it delivered in such a plain, flavorless manner that it doesn't sell the intensity of the race, but instead dilutes it by having it conflict with the excitement of the literal narrative as delivered through the dialogue. This is without a doubt the weakest part of Initial D. The CG cars are not cute or endearing, nor do they simply look aesthetically unappealing as they clash with the primary animation style. The real issue is that an active detriment to the very core purpose of the series that are used to circumvent positive direction and animation techniques that would make the series the more exciting. The studio didn't have the ambition to take Initial D to the level it should have been, and the most important part of the show, the races, suffered greatly for it. Basically, watch Redline and note the masterful ways it manipulates the motion of its animation to emphasize fluidity and speed, and notice how none of them are used in Initial D. I've seen Redline, by the way. It's a very good movie. It's a very good movie. Even noting the fact that Redline is a blatant fantasy where Initial D is more grounded, there's no excuse why a series in that vein can't attempt more tactful use of such technique to push the action without crossing the line into absurdity. It's not even going to try any of that. What's the point of animating it? I'm definitely interested in the future in Initial D. While storytelling in progress as the first season have been leisurely at best. Hasn't paused for long enough to give me the impression that Initial D has reached its full potential. Shuichi Shigano should have realized the basics of having to introduce twists to keep the races interesting, and as he should predictably become more desperate, he'll hopefully be more dramatic and significant deviations to the formula. This is all presumption though, as it still depends on Shigano's intelligence and ambition to take Initial D to the next level. Improvements in directing the animation could also be a major help. Though Initial D is a lukewarm thriller so far, there are enough hints of promise to keep me curious on where they could go, so I'll probably watch it to completion. A street racing anime is a fine concept, but it hasn't come close to full throttle. Yeah, I'm not interested in Initial D in the slightest. Personally. I always thought it had goofy looking faces, though. What a crazy, Oh my goddess. I've heard of that one. Another one I've deliberately skipped over, though, because I heard the ending was... The ending was the kind of ending that makes you wonder why you watched it to begin with. I hate endings like that. I especially hate it because a show I really like has an ending like that. Serial Experiments Lane. You should watch this show. Watch this show. It's very good. It's very weird. Yes. Yes. Yes, watch. It's very good. Yes. No, you don't understand. You really need to watch. You don't get it. You don't understand it. Okay. I have never had a desire to watch that series ever in my life. This came out in 1998, really? Didn't know that. I've seen that a few times. Devilman Lady, okay. Generator Jaw. Eat Man. Oh, it's amazing. 1999. Pet Shop of Horrors? Oh my god. Ikiteru futari. Ikiteru futari. Turn A Gundam, Monster Farm. Oh, that's got a game. 2 Heart? Wow. I mean, the rating's terrible. Chat, this is like the godmother of dating sims. Oh. Very old. I played Aqua Style. Aqua Flash. And it had some characters in there. Juby. Juby juby jubop bop. Juby juby jubop bop. This seems got a silly start, but it's good. Great teacher Onizuka! This was a good ass show. Yeah. Not recommended. I gotta read this. I gotta read this. I really like Great Teacher Onizuka. Great Teacher Onizuka had some potential, but all the humor is repetitive and juvenile, while unrealistic drama scenes dominate. The plot more and more unrealistic drama scenes dominate the plot more and more as the series drags on. It basically fails on both fronts. Plot points and devices are reused to the point where they become dull, and they get increasingly ridiculous as the series progresses. Not in a good way, of course. Holy melodrama, Batman. This anime is chock full of bullshit backstories that is supposed to make us go, oh, not a bad guy / girl after all. By the way, yeah, it's definitely as irritating and ineffective as it sounds. Character development is unfortunately absent from the personality of our bland douche of a protagonist, and he is pretty much the same annoying dumbass for the whole duration of the plot. His way of solving issues with students is completely unrealistic, and while this is sometimes acknowledged and played for laughs, it takes itself seriously far too often. He's pretty much just there for wish fulfillment, plain and simple. As for his students, all developments in them come off as completely forced and contrived. Plus, almost all of them are blatant archetypes who have some deep-seated reason to bawl and never trust teacher again to boot. Why should we care about anything bad that threatens to happen when we already know that the Mary Sue genius, cool, handsome hacker boy can fix all problems that come up easily? Another telling issue with the characterization is that just about all men above the age of 20 are, for whatever reason, portrayed as disgusting perverts. This may be a reflection of Fujisawa himself, given the large amount of poorly placed fan service. All antagonists in the series style are completely one-dimensional and unrealistically evil, but then they get some sob story tackled onto their character and their personality changes completely. That's simply not proper character development. The art is easily the weakest aspect. Almost everybody has the same exact face. You know, the face that Fujisawa Toru recycles endlessly in everything he does. The only face he knows how to draw. Basically, Great Teacher Onizuka largely depends on visual humor for its value as its comedy, but all the hilarious facial expressions were used over and over again, while they were never really funny in the first place. At the same time, they contribute heavily to my inability to take Great Teacher Onizuka seriously. The rest of the visual humor is just somewhat lame, and man, I hope you like seeing Onizuka's ass, because you're going to get a lot of that. The animation is nothing special, and any flaws with it are completely overshadowed by the horrendous art. All the claims made by Great Teacher Onizuka's rabid defenders about its societal commentary are completely untrue. Bullying is not dealt with much better, more interestingly, or realistically than in many other works I have seen. Furthermore, I have failed to see what is actually criticized about the education system, other than the fact that none of the teachers are violent gangsters. This theme continues with just about everything else it supposedly comments on. It either just features these things in a cliche manner, or does not really say much about them at all. There is no depth to Great Teacher Onizuka. It is just a simple drama and comedy. This would be fine did it do either of those things right. But alas, it did not. I have no idea why this anime is so highly regarded. It's just not very good, plain and simple. I get secondhand embarrassment while watching all those sentimental scenes about teaching, and then I have to wonder why Great Teacher Onizuka didn't just stick to comedy. Then I remember that it wasn't funny, and I think to myself, that explains it. GTO started out as a decent parody of all those stupid shows with Super Teacher who helps the students work out all their problems and wins their hearts in the process. But it eventually fell victim to self-indulgence and became a stupid story in the same vein. It contributed nothing new, nor anything in real value to the genres of school life, comedy, or drama. It never made me laugh out loud, and it never evoked any kind of physical or emotional response. Not in a good way, at least. At its best, it's okay. At its worst, it's goddamn painful. I guess streamer was wrong again, huh? Bro, what? Did I say my opinion was objective? What do you think this is? What do you think I'm Twitch chat? You think I'm you right now? You think I'm you? I like Great Teacher Onizuka. He does make some good points, though. I've read the whole manga, and the manga ends terribly, personally. But he does make some good points, I will admit. But there are a lot of aspects of the show that I actually do greatly enjoy. I found it funny and enjoyable. He clearly did, and that's okay, because we're different people. But I do find it interesting how I kind of agree with almost everything he said. But the difference between him and me is that the things that he says are bad, I find enjoyable. So... No, the manga's ending is not that amazing, but the anime ending is also terrible, because the anime ending is just 2 episodes tacked on to create an ending that was absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. But the manga ending was kind of not great either. It was, I don't know. It didn't do it for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Anyway, chat. Meta rot. What? Meta rot. Metabots. Why are we calling it meta rot? Fuck. It's the penis hamster. You probably don't know what that means, but it's okay if you don't. Meta rot is a stupid name. Hunter x Hunter. One Piece started in 1999. Not recommended. Do not watch. Oh man. It's the One Piece. Hunter x Hunter. Never gonna end. Initial D number 2. Fish Boy. Oh, I've seen this show. I watched this because I thought it would be good. I did not enjoy it in the slightest. I remember this. Some like kid gets like, I don't know, fucking suction to the future or some shit. And his only character trait is that he's like his only trait is that he like never gives up even though he's like horribly abused. And the girl behind him is just like, fuck. Man. It's just... Sorry, not the girl behind him. This girl. Ringwalt Sada. Yeah. She, yeah. Not good. Not good. I don't get it. I don't know what was about this was so popular, but I watched it, and when I was finished, I was not happy with myself. I did not think it was very good at all. The Big O. Zoids. Jeez Louise, man. Cyber 6. Ho! Ho ho ho! Cyber 6. Hell yeah. Another one of those things that ended terribly. Growing up in Canada in the late 90s, almost every kid I knew watched Cyber 6. This man gets it. He gets it. Cyber 6. It was really good. It was really good. I promise you it was really good. Fuck. Forget the opening. Hold on. Hold on, chat. Cyber 6 opening. That's a musical visualizer. No, I want the actual opening. US Fox Kids opening? What? No, give me the... How dare you claim that HQ HD? 3 frames a second. Fuck you! I hate you! Okay, maybe this one will work. Okay, it works. Hold on, chat. Border life is bad. Alright, check this. Check this. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's classic. Oh, classic. Absolutely classic right there. Yeah, so Cyber 6 is like, I think she's like an android or something, but she like her Clark Kent is like an English teacher, but she's a guy. And she also has like a Black Panther as a sidekick, which I think is like her brother or something who was turned into a panther. And there's another male teacher there, the blonde guy, who's like her love interest. But they're like all best friends. He doesn't know that he is her, so they're like best friends, but then he like you know, it's anyway, it's not very long. The little kid's name is Jose, and he's a little bastard, and a bunch of Hulk looking dudes. But yeah, that was something I watched on TV a lot. Like a lot back in my day. That quality was really bad, but that was the best I could find. That was the best one I could find. Alright, put it back in. Cyber 6. It's good. Wild Arms has an anime? Damn, I didn't know that. Doesn't have a very good score. Alright, chat. Alright, chat. It's been an hour and a half. What do you say we go to streamers list now? And we listen to streamer talk about anime that he's watched. Instead of going through 2000s. Streamer, where is your list? Profile. No, where's you find my where's my anime list? Haha. Is it in my profile? This is me. Yep. 354. Wow. Wow. Alright, chat. So, I made this account years ago. I have added a ton of stuff. This is all anime that I have watched. And it's in alphabetical order. So, top one right away. 3 Gatsu no Lion. March Comes Like a Lion. So, this is a shogi anime. But I thought that it was a shogi anime that wasn't a shogi anime. But then the second half of it became very shogi focused and I lost interest. But apparently the second season is like fucking amazing. But I just lost interest in it. Which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, like the sequel here, second season. Look at that. Look at that, 8.93. That's crazy. Like, God, man, I feel like I really missed it. I feel like I got through the first season and then I did not get to like the good stuff. Hey, look, it's my buddy. It's my buddy. Sangatsu no Lion's first 5 minutes contains a scene I might characterize as one of the best in animation. A boy listlessly awakens, drinking out of necessity, dressing out of obligation, and leaving his sterile apartment out of confusion. An existence so fragile it could perish with the wind. He doesn't say anything, he doesn't tell people about his problems, he just moves on with his life. At first, I did not understand why the scene has such an impact on me. I thought it could have been the beautiful music, or perhaps the captivating artwork so characteristic of Shaft. That wasn't it. What overwhelmed me was how illustrative it was of human life. People often describe their favorite pieces of fiction with vague terms such as brilliant or life-changing. Sangetsu no Lion is not life-changing, at least not in the sense of its developing for me as a different personality, or in creating new passions. What it did rather is give me the tools to better understand myself and, more importantly, why I am here. And that is the greatest answer of all. To say that Sangetsu no Lion is powerful would be an understatement. There are numerous moments, much like the opening scene, that do much with little. Most things are left implicit and unsaid. A simple everyday conversation between family about what their plans could be for the next day, or a brief conversation about one's quiet hometown can contain more weight and characterization than a series might in its entire duration. Sangetsu no Lion is masterfully produced, a technical triumph, Shaft's greatest accomplishment. Sangetsu no Lion is at surface an anime about shogi, but at its core a coming-of-age story of overcoming depression. Rei, the series protagonist, is a deeply and inherently flawed being. He is timid, incapable of speaking his mind or getting his feelings across, and unhappy with his role in life. Many characters do not understand why he is this way, and indeed, for someone so gifted at shogi, enough to turn into a career from a young age, and blessed by having such a kind family care for him, it is easy to be envious and to question why someone in his position could ever feel unsatisfied. He's still in his teens after all, so it could merely be an irrational fit of teenage angst. And so they think, and so they patronize him. This is more to Rei than the people around him give credit for, and he never had a real family, nor even a youth, hence why he goes to school in an aimless search for one. He has nothing he can relate to but shogi. Even shogi brings him pain, as his thirst for victory ends only with him driving the loser to disappointment and despair. He needs to feed on other people's happiness to give meaning to his own existence, as without shogi he will have nothing. This isn't meant to instill feelings of pity in the viewer. Rei's problems, while significant and real, aren't much different from what everyone else in his world is dealing with. His eventual mentor, Shimada, struggles with a fear of disappointing others, and with a chronic sickness that disrupts his ability to play shogi. Even Hinata, the carefree younger sister figure to Rei, is dealing with issues of love and anxiety of growing up. Rei's journey is not just about recognizing and facing his own problems, but also an understanding that pain is a normal part of life, and sometimes something that everyone deals with. All one can do is to take it with stride. Rei's eventual breakdown is one of the story and most notable moments. I've read complaints of the scene being too dramatic or that it took too long for Rei to get there. I feel that that was the point. Simply being told no, you are wrong does not do anything to help fix a person's issues. Rei has already been told his entire life that he is wrong. Hold on. Nope. That works. Rei has been told his entire life that he is wrong. It is through being kicked down, made a fool of, and yes, breaking down completely that humans are able to grow the most. We are resilient creatures and respond to failure with success. Rei is not meant to be entirely likable to the viewer. He's just a dude and he has his limits, much like anyone else. He is meant to be human rather than an embodiment of all things cool and attractive, and I suppose it is in this distinction that is bothersome to certain viewers. The scene where Shimada chats with Rei and about Yamagata, his hometown, represents a lot of what makes this anime so special. The conversation is only 90 seconds long, and yet it encapsulates Rei's growth as a person. It culminates in this one simple quip back to Shimada that even something dull is still something. Rei has by this point become capable of standing his ground and arguing back, and of framing the world more positively. It is easy not to notice these things because Rei's evolution is not sudden or obvious. That is precisely what makes it great and why it feels so real. It is only in the small details that we notice change. Many aspects of Shaft's production are experimental in nature. This definitely shows this was the case. While some of their other works, such as the Monogatari series, get a bit too focused on style rather than content, to the extent of being pompous or even pretentious, I would argue, the direction and artwork of Sangetsu no Lion is artful and stylish while still managing to keep genuine. The 10th episode shogi match is one of the more prominent examples of this, where a thunderous orchestral piece plays as the two furiously and silently challenge one another. It doesn't really require dialogue, as the visual and audio cues do more than close enough to demonstrate who is winning and losing, and how much stress they are undergoing. There's even a scene that closely resembles theater, with jazzy beats playing while Smith slowly, very, very slowly eats breakfast. Some may feel this is unnecessary, but I am of the opinion that it provides a wealth of character to someone who had really not seen or understood much by that point in the story. It's a bit remarkable just how reminiscent the anime is of life in Tokyo. I feel that those who've never been there are missing quite a bit, as its depiction does well to make the world the characters live in feel real and relatable. It was actually a bit surreal in my case, as Rei goes to train stations, bridges, and other areas that I have personally been to, and visits Sendagi at one point in the series, the quiet little neighborhood in which I live. He even wears the exact same black coat that I bought at a local Uniqlo store months ago, so understandably I think the anime has been a fairly personal experience for me. There's nothing short of stunning how much effort Shaft has put into making settings feel like a real place where real people live. It is not a portrayal of Tokyo, it is Tokyo. The music in Sangetsu no Line is without a doubt some of the best that has been in anime. Most of the more heavy-hitting tracks are used sparingly, often only in one specific scene for a specific purpose, and accomplish that purpose with power and with triumph. In some scenes, such as the Yamagata talk, the first time Sayonara Bystander began playing, or at the end of the 12th episode when Rei promises to Momo to win, the music was effective enough to make my eyes water a bit. This isn't a reaction I normally have towards music. One could argue that there is a bit too much comedy in the anime, and certainly if you're only looking for a serious storytelling from start to finish, you may end up feeling somewhat alienated by the end. I might have preferred a bit less comedy too, as the lighthearted scenes, while enjoyable, especially with how adorable Hinata is, are not quite as exciting as all the other pieces, but I can still appreciate its existence, as it would be disingenuous to remove it altogether and to pretend as if there was no happy moments in the characters' lives. Seeing Rei grow to accept the Kawamoto sisters is quite heartwarming too. They care about him even if he may not always care about himself, and by the end they help him to find more meaning in life than Shogi. It's true that Sangetsu no Line does not have much conclusion. Most of the problems the characters are dealing with are still ongoing struggle by the end, and Rei is far from becoming a master shogi as most anime protagonists typically would. Part of this can be attributed to logistical issues, such as limited production budget and the fact that the manga is still ongoing. I don't think this creates an inherent flaw with the anime, however, as Sangetsu no Line isn't really in need of an ending, there's no plot with a specific starting point and ending point. It is rather a moment in time, a piece of Rei's life and those of the people around him. His depression persists, and he remains an imperfect and flawed person, even if he now has friends and family by his side. He's still searching, he's still running. Perhaps that will change by the end of the second season or the manga. Maybe it won't, and that would be completely fine. I don't believe that there's anyone, even on their deathbed, who has ever been complete as a person. We start imperfect, and we end imperfect. Gradually, yet surely, evolving, unchanging. With most reviews, I feel compelled to discuss the anime in a mechanical way. The animation was nice, the characters were developed well, the plot was inconsistent. And it's because most anime feels crafted, like a specimen of sorts to be examined. How is this piece? How is that piece? Sangetsu no Lion never felt that way for me. It's bigger, it feels more real, and so I can't help but write something more personal too. Is Sangetsu no Lion better than Honey and Clover? Maybe. Is it the best anime of the past decade? Perhaps. More than that? Could be. It is difficult right now to answer with complete certainty these questions I have been posing myself. Time for the best judgment. Time is the best judgment, I feel. But I can say without question or hesitation that Sangetsu no Line is the only anime since Touch that has had such a profound and visceral impact on me, and Touch was the best anime I had ever seen. Sangetsu no Line is a statement that unhappiness is okay. Being depressed, unsatisfied, or stressed does not make you weak, it makes you human. And so I find it appropriate to close with a quote from Hinata. So what do you say at a time like this? You say to do your best. I don't remember when I watched the show, unfortunately. But yeah, the art style is pretty, it's got some bubbly to it. Momo. Look at this rotund lad. Okay. Oh, man. I watched it when I was young. Younger for sure. 2016. Oh man, I wasn't that young. What the fuck? Ain't no way that aired in 2016. Are you serious? Did I really watch this when I was 20? Wow. Might have even been a bit order. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get what other people got out of it. And the second season apparently was like super good. Kind of wish I picked up on it. Alright, chat. Now, a classic. You probably heard of this one. Now, if you've never seen the movie, spoiler warning, they might spoil it here. I never saw the movie because apparently the way this series ends is kind of meh. So I didn't care to actually see it through all the way. All right. So yeah, so this is the show about the guy who ends up tutoring five girls, and they're all quintuplets, and they all look the same. They're all very pretty ladies. What else can I really say? Do you need to feel? What is it? Not recommended. Where's the funny? You forgot the funny! Oh shit, he gave it a 1? Insane. He gave it a 1, dude. Alright, I gotta read it. How are you gonna give it a 1? What do you feel as you look at this anime? Do you feel a warm feeling of love? Do you feel nothing? Or do you feel what I feel? Hatred! Out of the many shows of this season, which I can say are all about as good as Mars of Destruction, I can say one show takes my place as #1 least favorite show this season. And I might say of all time, the Quintessential Quintuplets is by far my least favorite show I've ever watched, and let me explain why, with minor spoilers, I guess. A good harem show needs good characters. When I say good characters, I don't just mean the girls who form the harem, but the main dude as well. All of my favorite harem shows, such as DxD, Trinity 7, A World God Only Knows, and Ouran Host Club have both of those. Quintessential Quintuplets does not have both. I can say I do like one character from Quintessential Quintuplets, Miku, but I can't say I love them all. Even with utter trash shows, I can still say I like at least one character. However, in this show, I can say none of these characters are good in any way. A little about the show. We have our MC, Futaro, a poor student who studies all the time to get out of poverty and finds himself a situation where he teaches 5 rich, big titty women, because of course he does. However, before this, we get a teaser of the future in which he marries one of those 5 girls, which is a unique, I guess. Maybe pushing it a little. 5 girls he has to teach are all dumb, with minor spoilers that they have at least one thing they're good at. To make my point that the show is a litter, I will use examples. Now the characters are the backbone of any story. Without good characters, you cannot have a good story. From the people who have watched and read the manga, they praise the characters. Being a good example of how you do a trope correctly, I fail to see how. Nino being a bratty tsundere who at any moment she can, does things to make the MC's life miserable. She does it because she loves her sisters. Shut the fuck up. Bluntly accusing someone of sexual harassment for the sake of her sisters is not only annoying, but just bad. Even though I don't like the MC, I hate the way she treats them. In the end of episode 3, after the whole sexual harassment gag, where she storms off and Futaro ends up leaving and then sitting next to her and they talk, the episode ends with her saying, "I will never accept you," or some shit. I don't know if people find this cute or heartwarming somehow, but it's just annoying and makes me hate her even more. If you want to use the she cares about her sister shit, then why does she act like such a bitch then? Shut up, you have bad taste. Just kidding, but still, the overuse of trying every way to be a dick to the MC gag was annoying the first time I saw it, and still hasn't gotten better the 10,000th time. People have also said that during her arc, which are like the last 2 episodes, she gets better, but in all honesty, she just gets worse. Nothing like a bratty, big, bitty bitch being bashful by bad boys in the anime. At least she doesn't develop at all. Itsuki, the seeming main girl of the series, yet another tsundere who openly hates the MC. And why does she hate the MC? Because when she asked him to tutor her first, he declined, and then after her dad hires Futaro without the girls knowing, she gets upset and starts to pout and throws a tantrum like a fucking 5-year-old. Again, we have another character who trashes the MC over and over, and the trope still hasn't gotten funnier or cuter from the first time I saw it. In the first episode where she drugs the MC because she doesn't want him to her or her sister send him on a taxi home. You maybe put some emphasis on the fact she legit drugs him. Is this not a crime? Of course, as they get into his house, Futaro's sister greets them and wants to come in for dinner. After seeing how poor they are and Futaro's sister's cuteness, she doesn't agree to want him to tutor her, but at least she doesn't mind if he shows up. I would like to see if she has a good side to try and say something good about her, but I can't. Ichika, being the One-san type of the 5, doesn't have much else going for her. However, she's not really a unique character in this trope. If you want to say she's other qualities, like having a goal of being an actor and she works hard for it, then go for it. I won't stop you, but it's like, okay? She tries hard at something she likes. Good for her. How does that make her a good character in any way? It's not like she's a bad character. She just isn't an overly good one. Yotsuba is the energetic girl of the group. She's always friendly one, ditzy, always accepting and always sacrificing herself for people type. I guess she isn't really bad, but she isn't good either. She has nothing new to this archetype as well, and she's really just bland. She doesn't progress in the anime and seems to be more of a side character than a main one. Oh, hold on. Get out of here. Magic Maiden Crusades. Miku is being the only girl I actually like in this group due to her not being an annoying bitch and actually being really cute and lovable. However, this is just compared to the other girls, which is pretty much comparing a shit to somewhat better shit. Either way, it's still shit. Even if I do like her, it's only within the series, and I can't really say much I like about her outside of it. Futaro himself is a typical MC harem MC, being a loner who has one good trait about him. He can't say the words he needs to when he should, and always puts the girls in his harem before himself, no matter how bratty they are. He takes the fall for any situation, and he doesn't stand up for himself when he should. He's just your average bland protagonist. All the girls besides Miku, for the most part, are shit characters individually, and even worse as a group, as nothing good happens when they all get together, and for the most part, when they get together, only really bad slapstick humor follows. I can never put my full hatred for really just on Nino or Itsuka in this review. On top of bad characters, the animation art are also really shit. Besides that one scene in episode 11 where Ichika and Futaro are in the shed together, and he grabs her as she falls and says something majestic to her, which would make her start falling for him. That was like the only good part of animation art in the show. However, again, the art is far better in the manga. In conclusion, this is typical harem anime with nothing new to add to the genre and another show to add to an already large trash pile. This man hates it! This one doesn't even have a funny rating. Not even... Okay, one funny rating. One funny rating. Alright, you get a pass. Okay. Chat, I like the animation. Personally. There was a scene where this girl smiled and it was very pretty. Maybe it's in the profiles here. Oh, the manga art is really good, by the way. I don't see it. I don't know, she had a really pretty smile. Personally, I like the animation. I don't hate the show. I think the second season's much better when it actually picks up. It does things that I was more impressed with. Hence, the better rating, of course. So yeah, this is just the continuing of it. The animation got nicer. The character's hair changed for some reason. That was weird. But it is what it is. But I thought I liked it, I liked it more. I liked it a lot more. Second season had a lot more going for it in terms of drama. It's not there. No, they didn't watch the second season. No! No, they didn't watch the second season. I wanted to see their review. Wait, maybe it's here. Maybe it's buried. More reviews? Where you at? Quintessential trash. Where are you? No, they didn't watch it. That's sad. I was hoping they'd watch it. I wanted to hear their review of the second season. Nah, chat, the second season is definitely a lot better. But it's another one of those problems where once you kind of know how it ends, the whole thing it kind of makes or breaks it for you, I suppose. Cause it's all about the way it's supposed to play out is one of the girls marries him at the end. That's teased immediately at the start. And you have to figure out who's the one, who's the one who marries him. That means no matter what the answer is, somebody's gonna get mad. So, yeah. If you don't like the outcome, then the whole series gets ruined for you. Which is kind of a shame. But, yeah. Ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum-bum. But I liked it, personally. I enjoyed my time with this series. And I was looking forward to the movie, but then I wasn't. Now, here's one. 91 Days. 91 Days. So this one is about, this one's Mafia. I've watched this one. I love the opening for this one. It's really good. As a child living in the town of lawless Angelo Lagusa has witnessed a tragedy. His parents and younger brother have been mercilessly slaughtered by the Venetti Mafia family. Losing everything he holds dear, he leaves both his name and hometown behind, adopting the new identity of Avilio Bruno. 7 years later, Avilio finally has a chance for revenge when he receives a mysterious letter prompting him to return to Lawless. Obliging, he soon encounters the Venetti Don's son, Nero, and seeks to befriend him using the skills he has quietly honed for years. Set during the Prohibition era, 91 Days tell the story of Avilio's dark, bloodstained path to vengeance as he slowly ends each of the men involved in the killing of his family. So yeah, it's a crime drama, chat. It's pretty good. I gotta say, it's pretty good. Bingo. Yeah. I don't know what else to really say. No, it is really good though. Like, I mean, you can see by the cover image. There's guns, there's pew pew. There's a lot of things going on in it. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to spoil it because I actually think this show is worth the time. But the ending is definitely a little open-ended. So, I don't know. I feel like it's the kind of ending that you could be satisfied with, but some people might be like confused or annoyed by it. But I do remember really liking this one. And like I said, it's got a great opening. The opening's called 91 Days. Oh no, it's not. It's called Signal. 91 Days is the show. Recap of the first 7 episodes. No. Say 91 Daze. 91 Daze. Hold on, chat. Let me show you the opening, because it's actually kind of litty. It's actually litty. No joke. No joke. This might get bot claim. It's okay though. Let me pull you up the opening. It's actually so good. 91 Days OP HD, because you know you want to see it in HD. Signal. It's not a minute and 40 seconds, right? Can I just get the opening? I guess this is the opening, right? I guess it is. Yeah, okay. Alright. That should be the opening. Yeah, it's Crunchyroll. Alright, chat. Here you go. You can watch it. I promise it's good. Not this one. This one. Right here. These guys, look at the face on these guys. This guy over here, the guy on the right's all business. He's all business. The guy on the left is just here. He's here on you know, this is party for him. All business, happy boy. Okay. No, 91 Days is pretty damn good. It's pretty good. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I do remember it having a lot of really strong moments. Alright. What's the next one on streamers list? Accel World. Accel World. Created by the guy who wrote Sword Art Online. And this is our main character. Haruyuki Aruto. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, there he is. The Silver Crow. That's my boy. That's my boy. That's him right there, the Silver Crow. But yeah, this is by the same guy who did Sword Art Online. And I actually think it takes place in the same universe, but like 30 years in the future. Because they reference the brain gear that locked people in Aincrad. So it's like 30 years after the events of Sword Art Online. But Sword Art Online was more popular, so Accel World just kind of stopped, I guess. Why is he a pig? It's his virtual avatar, because it's like it takes place in like 2050. So they have like a VR like school thingies, and he's a pig. And then they have Accel World brain battles, and his avatar is the Silver Crow. Haruyuki Arita is an overweight bully middle schooler who finds solace in playing in online games, but his life takes a drastic turn one day when he finds that all his high scores have been toppled by Kuroyuki Hime, the popular vice president of the student council. She then invites him to the student lounge and introduces him to Brain Burst, a program which allows the user to accelerate their brain waves to the point where the time seems to stop. Brain Burst also functions as an augmented reality fighting game, and in order to get more points to accelerate, users must win duels against other players. However, if the user loses all their points, they will also lose access to Brain Burst forever. Kuroyuki Hime explains how she chose to show Haruyuki the program because she needs his help. She wants to meet the creator of Brain Burst and uncover the reason why it was created, but that's easier said than done. To do so, she must defeat the 6 kings of pure color, powerful factions, leaders within the game, and reach level 10, the highest level obtainable. After the girl helps Haruyuki overcome the bullies that torment him, he vows to help her realize her goal, and so begins the duo's fight to reach the top. I'm not sure how to explain it. Not recommended. Alright. Tell me why. Tell me why! Accel World certainly has good quality visuals. Yeah, it does. Dynamic battles in an interesting setting. This is true. However, past that, I cannot think of anything that the show does well. You may disagree with this in my scoring, but please allow me to justify myself because I intend to do so in full. Let's cover a good point first, though. The art and animation. The art is very consistent. It does a great job of displaying the interactive world in its diverse and grand state. The animation for the battles is well done. I certainly didn't have any complaints. There's plenty of movement and excitement in the battles. Enough time to satisfy the fans of action. The character designs are on the whole attractive, albeit generic, but here we come to our first problem, the protagonist, Haruyuki. I get it. What? Video editing is moved to Clipchamp. That's Pog. Thanks for the information. I did not need to know that, ever. You could have never told me that. That would have been fine. Okay. I get it. Haru is supposed to be a character with low self-esteem, otherwise they wouldn't have brought in Yuki Kaiji to voice him. But the character design they chose to demonstrate this was insulting to the viewers. Looking at him, it shows the designers attempt to force down our throats the fact that this guy is vulnerable and a loser, but at the same time still not be ugly enough to put us off, which is why he is a shibi, rendering him completely different from every other character in the show. Why do they feel the need to do this? I get the feeling they think the audience is stupid and need constant reminders of why this guy has no confidence. They even made his avatar a small pig just to reiterate this further, because you are that stupid. This leads me on to Haru himself and the rest of the characters. His best friend Taku is generic, seems to have no romantic chemistry with his girlfriend Chiyu. Indeed, Haru has more. Doesn't add much to the series, but is at least likable. Although her relationship with Haru was odd, i.e. romantic, Chiyu was alright initially, but later in the series she becomes incredibly obnoxious. Kuroyuki Hime is the most likable character, partly because of her pleasant disposition and good design, but mostly because she got a pass on the second half of the series on account of being on holiday. The side characters lack depth and are completely nondescript, the enemies are infuriating, and not for the reasons they should be, and then there's Haru. I'd be amazed if anyone could manage to actually like this guy, unless he is so similar to them disliking him is an act of self-loathing. The amount of hatred I built up watching him was one thing, but then the second half of the series happened. Now obviously I won't spoil anything, but let me just say the second half of Accel World has some of the most rage-inducing episodes you'll come across. Why? The characters start acting in completely illogical and infuriating ways. I had just forgiven Haru for the first half of the series when he just goes downhill in a spectacular fashion. The show starts introducing plot devices that either make little sense or break the setting Accel World itself, and the plot degrades terribly. Indeed, the half was so poor that they had to introduce a few episodes of filler in the middle to give you time to calm down. The antagonist has at his disposal seemingly every plot contrivance possible, and an ability that would never be allowed in any game of that sort. In fact, a major factor of why I ended up being so angry is due to the blatantly poor plot devices and elements that were poorly thought out and looked like ass-pulls. It shows laziness in the writing or a simple lack of ability. I was shocked often throughout the second half at how stupid those things were, and it did not help the infuriating exchanges at all. So in all, the second half was terrible. Indeed, I give it a 1 overall. It did have some nice battles, some fan service, and some really spectacular background settings. When you have to watch this in tandem with the genuinely upsetting nature of the show, where whatever the antagonist is on the screen, your head will find itself drawn to the oven. The experience is irredeemable. The first half was better, and many will have or will enjoy the first half, but I didn't like it either. For someone who is the protagonist because they are good at games, Haru really sucks at games. He makes rookie errors and shows a lack of judgment that makes you wonder about his ability. To be fair to him, this is simply more usage of plot devices, and I would forgive him for that. But he's an irritating waste of space that only serves to pander to the viewer's inadequacies and insecurities. He is not a decent character. He's only there to make people who identify with him feel better for themselves. That is the only reason I can imagine someone liking this show at all, to be honest. Accel World is certainly not all bad. There's some decent episodes, which also include exciting fighting. Some of the side characters are likable, and the world setting was fantastic in terms of aesthetics. However, these happy instances were always in between long durations of anger, misery, and frustration. Many may enjoy it. I certainly don't speak for all opinions, but for me, watching Accel World was an experience devoid of enjoyment or fun. The way this anime is set up makes it inherently dubious, and the execution has really caused such grief that I wanted to cause harm to myself. I hope this never gets a sequel. Now, chat. It's been a long time since I've watched, from the uncreative mind that dumps Sword Art Online to the face, unto your face comes his other famous light novel series, Accel World. That's good. That's a good hook. That's good, but it's middling. That's a good hook, though. I enjoyed this show, personally, but I kind of agree. The main character is extremely unlikable, and it's hard to believe that the characters around him, like, really, you know, jive with him. They didn't need to make him such a stupid-looking asshole, you know? That's my opinion there. But I remember the fights and the mech designs looking pretty cool. Kurayuki Hime is a really good design. It'll show it her mech. It doesn't actually show her mech. What the fuck? It's kind of lame. Okay. No, her, I forget the name of her. Black Lotus, that's what it was, yeah. That's her avatar, the Black Lotus. It looks really cool, but it seems that you can't see it. Oh well. But yeah, I didn't think Accel World was the worst thing in the world. But I watched it a long time ago. 2012 is when it came out. Black Lotus is in the art back here. Let's see. Yeah, this one here. You can see it in the back, but only the head. It's got like arm swords. It's really cool. So there are cool ideas, but I kind of agree with I agree with some aspects that a reviewer said, for sure. Would I recommend it? Probably not. But it wasn't the worst thing in the world, and like you said, I do remember the fight scenes being pretty good. But everything outside of that, the main character is definitely a bit of a massive turnoff. He didn't need to look like that. He could have just looked like a normal dude. They could have put Shinji in there, it would have been better. Haruyuki is just distasteful. Now here's a classic one, chat. Have you ever heard of this one? Achikochi. You've probably seen gifs of this one, specifically from this child over here. This one. Tsukimi Minewa. Yes. Yes. I'm sure you've seen her. I'm sure you've seen her. Yeah, so this show is kind of just this show's kind of like do nothing, slice of life, whatever. It's not bad. It's not particularly stand out from what I remember. The guy with brown hair is very handsome. Everybody thinks this motherfucker is super handsome. And I mean, maybe. Only a little bit. He looks like Renosuke. Honestly, yes. I agree. He does. That's why he's so handsome. But yeah, I don't remember a lot of details of this show, but I remember the main two characters. I remember Hime, actually. She's from the Newscaster Club. I thought she was. She got nosebleeds whenever cute things happened. Mares where life goes to drink. Mixed feelings. So yeah, not really much to look at there. In terms of review. Pretty standard, slice of lifey. I don't remember a lot of details about it, but if you've never seen it and you like that kind of slice of life, it was it's pretty good. I just genuinely don't remember any specifics to any episode, anymore because it's been so long. There's a sequel? No, there's not. Episode 13. Oh, okay. We're good. Look how small she is. Itty bitty creature. Yeah, not bad. Next one, chat. Afro Samurai. I watched this on Netflix because a friend recommended it to me. They told me Samuel L. Jackson voiced it, and he did. He does voice a character in this one. I remember like literally nothing about this series at all though, but it's 5 episodes long. And oh, there's a what sequel? Oh, it's a movie. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the details at all. I watched this on Spike TV. Wow. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. I was told it was a very stylish, very gory anime. It was recommended several times to me. When I got around to watching it, was appalled at the terrible, nonsensical story. First of all, the story as a whole is very mediocre. Boy loses father, boy gets revenge on father's killer, etc. It's like something from Daredevil, but the thing that really, really pisses me off is this. He hardly ever fights humans. Seriously, he fights killer robots, humanoids, and weird monks, one arm with a bazooka, and finally a guy with 3 arms. This is why the series comes off as poor. However, this is saved by the excellent animation and unique styling and excellent sounds. The artwork is great, and the voice acting by Samuel L. Jackson adds the extra badassery the show needs. The characters were pretty bad. You know how I feel about the enemies, but even Afro Samurai is badly portrayed. He's a 2D character, and the writers thought that if loads of bad stuff happen to someone, I'll automatically feel sorry for him and be on his side. No, it doesn't work like that. Overall, not a series worth avoiding, but only because it's so short. There are plenty of better anime to watch in the meantime. Yeah, I don't remember anything about this other than that Samuel L. Jackson was a part of it. That's all I have to say about that. Very short, though. Next one. Aggretsuko. Yeah! Now this is a good series right here. Aggretsuko. Some offices have stereotypical dynamics. The chauvinistic pig of a boss who's never done any real work. The employees whose goal is to suck up to the boss. The one whose lives seem perfect, and the individuals who have all their actual works pushed onto them. Aggretsuko is the red panda in the last group, as she stays late most nights to make up the work of her coworkers who are too lazy to do themselves. Her relief from the stress of her everyday life comes in the form of singing death metal at a local karaoke club, night after night. Aggretsuko channels her grief into the microphone and considers the place to be her own personal sanctuary, but as she moves further away from her comfort zone and the ideas people have of her, she discovers that letting others into the world of death metal may not be such a bad thing. I've seen 3 seasons. I didn't watch season 4. Hold on, just gonna pop that in real quick. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so it's like, they're all animals. Got a secretary bird. Literally, that's what the bird is. It's a secretary bird. She's a secretary. And you have Bucho Gori. So these are like the hot shots of the office, and they end up becoming friends with Aggretsuko. Look at her. Look at that staunch. Look at that stance right there. Prepared for work. And her friends are the hyena and Feneko. Feneko is the best character. Feneko is the best character. I enjoy her. But yeah, it's good. What can I say? It's actually really good. It's 10 episodes long. There's multiple seasons. It's on Netflix if you care about that. Yeah. It's Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty, baby. But it's really good. I promise you it's really good. I can't really say much more than that. It's just about, like, office life and stress, and following a character who alleviates the stress through screaming death metal, and following just, you know, different aspects of her life, and all the characters around her. It's a good watch. I would recommend it if you're, if that sounds like your kind of thing. But yeah, there's so many seasons at this point. I've fallen behind. I've definitely watched the first 3 though. Okay, this one right here, chat. This one right here was a sleeper from a couple seasons ago. This one was actually really good when it had no business being that good. Because it seemed kind of like whatever. But it actually ended up being... I mean, the rating doesn't do it justice. Beginning his first year of high school, all Matsuboshi Raido wants is to make friends, starting with the cute, tiny, and soft-spoken Reina Aharen, who sits right next to him in class. Unbeknownst to Raido, Rena shares the same sentiment, but she has a problem. Awkward and timid, Reina is incapable of determining how chummy she has to be when approaching a person. Due to Reina's complete inability to gauge personal space, the two struggle to spark their unlikely friendship, as even the simplest tasks talking seem impossible for them. But despite the countless yet pointless challenges that hinder the pair, the overly imaginative Raido will do whatever it takes to befriend the indecipherable Reina. So, yeah, this was spring last year. What I liked about this, not recommended. Alright, chat, before I read this, let me tell you what I liked about it, okay? What I liked about Aharen-san is that it started kind of episodic, whatever, and they are kind of goofy. Some of the gags got me, but what I appreciated is that it actually made an attempt to improve the characters' relationship as it went on. So, while it was, for the most part, episodic, it felt like they were actually making progress in their relationship throughout it, which made it more enjoyable for me. That's what I liked about it. It still had a lot of tropes. It wasn't perfect, and the two main characters are silent and deadpan for most of it. But there's a level to it that I came to appreciate by the end of it. So, now let's read why it's bad. Aharen-san wa hakarenai is komi-san wa komusho desu if it wasn't trying. And even that show only really tries for a single episode. It's a school life gag comedy where every character is a joke. None of them are funny. Every character is introduced, and you unenthusiastically realize, oh, there's a punchline coming here, isn't there? And then it comes, and you go, oh, I guess that was it. And the answer is always yes, and it always makes you roll your eyes or simply yawn. Komi-sama Komayusho Desu has a thematic core in the idea that appearances can be deceiving. And despite what you may think about someone based on their looks or their social status, and the assumptions which you may lead you to make about them based on those things, everyone has problems and you're never alone in your feelings of anxiety and self-doubt. As a cast of gimmicky characters, but each one, whether you find them funny or not, is thematically relevant because they each display an archetype which is later proceed to subvert, thus reinforcing the idea that much like Komi, the stunning beauty what everyone admires yet who has paradoxically no self-confidence and no friends. Everyone is a book whom you cannot judge by the cover. The show, however, is about nothing, and no matter how many scenes of forced sentimentality and piano music it throws in, to try and trick you into thinking it's about something emotionally worthwhile, or any of its characters are growing or changing. This is not, and it is never the case. Actually, that last bit isn't true. The characters do grow and change, but only after the entire show undergoes a dramatic yet ultimately underwhelming evolution and becomes something totally different than it was at the start. For the first major chunk of the show, everything I just said is true, and it feels like an uninterrupted stream of Vines or Snapchats or TikToks or whatever dystopian Chinese social media network you people use nowadays. Everything that happens just feels like an attempt at generating stale memes. Aharen is just another hashtag small anime girl for people to farm terabytes of reaction images out of. And Raido, the MC, is just another expressionless meme boy. It just feels so condescending to me because not only does it come across as an insult to my intelligence, but also comes across as actively standing in for my basic elements of production. Where am I? The show is mostly boring and ugly, and while there's nothing new with modern seasonal anime, at least others will market themselves with more benign shit like fan service or waifu bait, not this embarrassing meme garbage. From the atrocious CG classmates to your usual dogshit backgrounds and hideous colors, this show suffers from everything modern anime are constantly accused of suffering from, and its clunky production eats into the script as well, because nothing makes a bad joke land even worse than being accompanied by the single most obnoxious, funny music you've ever heard. I'd be lying if I said it didn't hit the perfect Nichijou-style sweet spot every once in a while, where the sheer suddenness and absurdity of the physical comedy actually catches you pleasantly by surprise, but there's hardly enough of those moments to justify enduring the slog. However, somewhere along the line, things change, and while the change is certainly for the better, it doesn't save the show, and it just feels annoying in retrospect. For the longest time, the opening theme felt totally inappropriate, because while the show itself was nothing but a lifeless meme factory, the OP felt like something you'd see from more typical romantic comedy. Not so much a gag comedy. It's all peach and pinky. Wait, what? It's all pink and peachy, and it really suggests to you that the main duo are going to become love interests, but then you watch the show and it's completely dry. There's no romantic or sexual tension of any kind, and at least at the time, that was the only thing at the show I actually liked. I mean, just think about how many high school anime you've seen entire episodes are dedicated to characters blushing and feeling embarrassed about making eye contact or having any physical interaction with the opposite sex. For many of us, there are probably hundreds of examples, so seeing Aharen and Raido conduct fucking circus acts all over each other was extremely refreshing. As the show began approaching its final episodes, though, the dryness faded away. Characters who were once totally one-note memes began to act more generic and normal. The physical comedy got less overblown and absurdist, and before I knew it, the OP actually started feeling appropriate. There was blushing as early as episode 7, but I didn't really take that as a change in tone, because not only were they still all over each other at that point, in a way that seemed to invalidate the I love you so I'm embarrassed to touch you angle, but the characters up until that point have been fucking memes! So the idea of the show toning itself down and blossoming into romance just felt bizarre. When Aharen kisses Raido out of fucking nowhere in episode 10, I just threw my hands up and said, but you didn't earn this? It's not until episode 9 when Raido meets Aharen's sister that anyone actually starts seriously implying any romantic intrigue in any way that's explicitly disconnected from the jokes, and before you know it, you're watching an uglier, more poorly directed version of Kimi no Todoke or something! At the end of the day, there are still jokes. Comedy still exists in romantic comedies after all, but the tone and attitude of the series begins with is completely different from the tone and attitude it ends with, and by far the worst thing about it is that even as the evolution occurs, the show is so much better! I mean, it's just a generic rom-com, but it has cute, endearing moments, and if you actually enjoy the Lifeless Meme Factory episodes and therefore actually like the characters, then I imagine this change of tone must have been truly cathartic. The one single moment which best encapsulated this experience of fully comprehending and wrapping my head around the show had changed was during the final episodes where the two characters, who up until this point had been nameless, faceless, indistinct non-characters that would react to Aharen and Raido's wackiness every now and then, just suddenly became part of the friend group. When the four of them went camping, it really threw me for a loop. I was like, why are they here? And yeah, why were they there? When did they all become friends? Whether the answers to those questions are, they became part of the group, and in episode 11, just the two of them finally got to have a real conversation in the cafe when Raido walked away and Aharen was passed under the table, and that scene pissed me off so much. Why did it take 11 episodes for this to happen? Why did we spend episode after episode after episode after episode doing goddamn fucking Fortnite dances and epic memes when we could have been watching a real show with real characters? Please remember, I'm totally overselling this because, like I said earlier, it didn't become a masterpiece or anything. It just became a generic rom-com, but at least the generic rom-com is watchable. Gosh, the frustration makes me want to pull my hair out. I'm sorry, but I cannot recommend this show at all. The later episodes are decent, even though Raido remains an absolutely nothing character, but it is worth watching the first phase of the show to reach that point because it only improves enough to be mediocre. That scene in the cafe where the two friend characters is such a fucking tragedy because it's easily the best dialogue scene in the entire show. Raido got up to go take a shit or something, and it cut to just the two of them and sat next to each other in the booth, and that alone was enough to throw me off because the guy turned his head and looked at the girl to speak to her directly. Understand what I'm saying here? These two have been nothing but cardboard reaction faces the entire show. Pretty much every shot of them was just them faces looking off screen, commenting on what Raido and Aharen were doing. But this time, he finally looks at her if she was real, and he spoke as if he was real. They conversed, we learned they were childhood friends, he teases her a bit, and it was cute. Before I could even get mad about having been robbed of this for so long, I first had to take a step back and realize, 11 episodes in, that I still didn't even know their names. Indeed, I still don't. Thanks for reading. Reviewers rating 3. That man was passionate. But you know what? He kind of said the same things I did, but he had a negative outlook on it. He had a negative outlook on it, which is unfortunate. But it does change. It does change when it gets further in, which I liked personally. It was unconventional. But yeah, he's not wrong about it being a little it's the kind of humor that if you don't immediately click with it, then it's like it's definitely a slog. This is how it be. Still, I liked it. Next one. This show was a magical garbage. Aho Girl. Oh. 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 Ah. 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 Aho Girl. Banana. Hidden beneath the antics, the one-liners, and the pop culture references, Aho Girl's goal is obvious even to the untrained eye. It desires your attention. Look at me! Look at me! Aho Girl screams, waving its arms and jumping about in a frenzied, excessive, and desperate manner. In doing so, this show has managed to not only work but endear itself into the audience as well. Quite a few seasonal viewers have been smitten over the show, and at first glance it's easy to see why. Aho Girl is energetic, is straightforward, and occasionally charming. However, Aho Girl is also painful to watch. First and foremost, the show is simply not funny. For Aho Girl, which largely subdues its aesthetics in an effort to emphasize its writing, this is a severely damaging flaw. Aho Girl fancies itself an extravagant comic extraordinaire, yet it never fully ventures into the absurd. It is as if Aho Girl is frightened of abandoning its slice-of-life roots, and as a result is rather hesitant of displaying signs of vivaciousness. The instances where the comic genius sparks to life are memorable in their own right, the homage to the Power Rangers, for example, in particular, but they are few and far between. It hardly helps that Aho Girl, like most mediocre comedies, is obsessed with explaining the jokes to you with every act of mischief. It's not only a character, read the self-insert, elaborating on the details of said act, but there's also the occasional cues from Aho Girl itself that tells you how to act, how the act was intended to be funny, as the show can attest to. Even comedies can be guilty of info dumping. From the first episode, Aho Girl is engaged in a war against common sense. This is a show that prides itself on its intentional stupidity. For Aho Girl, lapses in judgment and instances of in-the-moment logic are par for the course. A carefree attitude and general acts of silliness are a major source of the show's appeal. That said, Aho Girl underwhelms when it attempts a serious approach. It's as if the show doesn't understand its audience. Most viewers appreciate Aho Girl because of its slapstick humor, because of the amusing eye catches, because of its short runtime, and yes, because of the fan service. I doubt that these viewers picked up Aho Girl for the half-baked, insipid, and monotonous moments of insight that ultimately result in little but wasted time. These moments of insight are not only executed poorly, but their suitability is subpar. Aho Girl tends to observe the most trivial matters, like a low score on a quiz, and overexert itself when it should be focusing on the more important problems, like the abusive relationship at the center of it all. Every problem that arises from Aho Girl stems from the disastrous dynamic between its protagonists. It's the repugnant elephant in the room that Aho Girl's fanbase has condoned, glossed over, neglected, and outright ignored at times. The cast members are defined by a single trait, but no cast member has as damaging a trait as Akuru Akutsu, the self-insert, and Yoshiko Hanabatakatake, the show's poster girl. Yoshiko's defining trait is idiocy, while Akuru's is anger. When Yoshiko compensates for her lack of intellect with a can-do attitude, Akuru offers little outside of his constant rage. There have been plenty of characters similar to Akuru, like Last Exile's Alex Rowe, that have provided substance, versatility, and growth to their cast beyond their brooding tendencies and hair-trigger temper. Akuru, however, is feeble in comparison. He makes little effort to express himself beyond screaming matches and physical abuse. When he encounters a problem, Akuru explodes. When a friend attempts helping him, Akuru becomes spiteful. He insults, he torments, he belittles, he punches, he kicks, and he hurls expletives at his friends simply because he perceives them as annoying. Sure, Akuru apologizes once in a while, but he never bothers to change. Honestly, why should he? The other cast members, specifically Yoshiko and Aho Girl itself, by proxy, have long since accepted this as rational behavior. That the show has treated Akuru's abusive tendencies as a gimmick, that the show's fanbase has little reaction to it, is sickening to me. There is a place in this world for Aho Girl where it can exist without scrutiny of any sort. Aho Girl has established itself and thrived in GIFs and vines and reaction videos and memes and the weird side of YouTube. If there is an Aho Girl's positive traits can flourish, however, under any sort of analysis, Aho Girl not only leaves you unsatisfied, but more than a little repulsed as well. The show, allergic to death and disgusted by morality, is at best mildly amusing and at worst one of the biggest disgraces of a thoroughly mediocre season. Aho Girl makes a spectacle of itself, presenting faux meaningful observations, idealizing a vapid female lead, overindulging in panty shots, deploying one tired, overused cliche after another, the sister complex among other things, and fishing for attention, while accomplishing absolutely nothing in the end, while its peers in the comedy genre have pushed boundaries, expanded horizons, enlightened its fans, and revolutionized the medium. Aho Girl has contributed a little beyond munching on banana. Chat, my throat is dying. I need to go get water right now. Be right back. Catch me with that big sippy. Alright. Welcome back. Okay. That was weird. There we go. Alright. We're good. Alright, chat. So, yeah. Aho Girl. It was Aho Girl. Banana. Banana. And what's next? Number 11? Oh, this is a good one. Ama to Inazuma, otherwise known as Sweetness and Lightning. It's a cooking show. Since the death of his wife, Kohei... Oh, this is just not fitting music for this. Oh, that's perfect. I fucking love this one. Since the death of his wife, Kohei Onizuka has been caring for his younger daughter, Tsumugi, to the best of his abilities. However, with his lack of culinary knowledge and his busy job as a teacher, he is left relying on ready-made meals from convenience stores to feed the little girl. Frustrated at his own incapability to provide a fresh, nutritious meal for his daughter, Kohei takes up an offer from his student, Kotori Ida, to come have dinner at her family's restaurant. But on their very first visit, the father and daughter discover that the restaurant is often closed due to Kotori's mother being away for work, and that Kotori often eats alone. After much pleading from his pupil, Kohei decides to continue to go to the restaurant with Tsumugi to cook and share delicious homemade food with Kotori. To Inazuma follows the heartwarming story of a caring father trying his hardest to make his adorable little daughter happy, while exploring the meaning and values behind cooking, family, and the warm meals at home that we often take for granted. Gricho. Sorry, only premium members may watch this. Okay, then I will not watch. Look at the child. Tsumugi Onizuka. This is the child. So yeah, it's just it's a cooking show where they feed the child. It's very good. It's very good. It's very sweet. Have you ever seen Usagi Drop? It's not like exactly like Usagi Drop or anything like that, but it focuses on, you know, the relationship between the single father and his daughter, and cooking at Kotori's place. But also there's also aspects like Kohei like dealing with his daughter as well, like issues at daycare, stuff like that, and trying to be like a single father for his daughter. It's very good. It is a very good show. It's only 12 episodes. It's not too long. But I do think it's one of those, how do I describe it? If you like cooking, I think you'd probably like it. But it's more than just about the cooking. The cooking's a big foundation of it, but it's more about everything surrounding the cooking and what the cooking is supposed to be doing for the characters. It's very good, though. Would heavily recommend. Mixed feelings. Bro. Not even a single funny. Not even a single funny. Being some sort of antisocial, misanthropic, millennial fuckwad. Alright, buddy. That's all I needed to read. Next one, chat. Amagi Brilliant Park. This is a weird one. Is this a real sequel? No, it was a special. What about, did it ever get finished? I think it did, didn't it? Oh, it did, yeah, in 2016. No, it went on hiatus. Oh, shit. Amagi Brilliant Park has been on hiatus for 5+ years, so if you want to root it, do so, it may never get an ending. Oh. What happened? I wish for info. I liked it. Personally, I enjoyed it. It was just about a dude who's like super narcissistic, and then he ends up like becoming a manager for this park, and they have to get a certain number of visitors, or they'll get shut down. So it's not bad. It's pretty fun. The park's run by fairy tale creatures essentially. So that's why there's like mascots, and the guy looks like Full Metal Panic. But they're like not mascots. That's like actually them. And these two, the sheep and the cat, are fucking weirdos. Recommended. Hey. Look at the sky. It's magic hour. I'm not gonna read any of those for that. It's not bad though. I can't really explain it very well, but this dude is basically going to be it's going to help the park survive. Now, if you've never seen anything about the series, then I have a very good feeling you've seen this character before. Surely, right? You've seen the soldier lady? I feel like most people's first introduction to the series was the soldier lady. But yeah, not terrible. I don't remember too much of the details. I know I've watched it more than once though. And if I did that, then it means I at least enjoyed it. But I don't remember a lot of details about it right now. Who is this? Oh, you know. You know who it is. Come on now. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Angel Beats. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't, again, if it was more memorable, I'd have more to talk about with it, but I don't. Angel Beats. I've watched the show many times in my life. I really like Key stuff. I really like Angel Beats. Unfortunately, it had 13 episodes with way too many characters, so only some of them were actually going to get any development at all. But the characters who did get development, the development was at least pretty good for most of them, I think. By the way, there's supposed to be a game coming out for this, like years ago. By the way, the dub for this one is pretty bad, so I wouldn't watch that. Also, the opening is sung by Laya. Or I guess Leah, if you want to pronounce it correctly. My Soul Your Beats. Leah. Holy shit, does she have beautiful English. God, I love her. And then My Soul Your Beats by Lisa. It's when Yui sings it. Kitamura Eri. Wow, really? He plays Yui? I didn't know that. Interesting. Oh, played Biddy too. Very interesting. Kitamura Eri and Darjeeling from Panzer. Kitamura Eri is also a voice in... She's a voice in Tolavania, but I'm drawing a blank on who she's the voice of. Araragi Karen. Oh, fuck, who was it? Kitamura Eri. Oh, it was Ramilia. That's what it was. It was Ramilia. So Yui and Ramilia share a voice. That's kind of funny to think about. I like when I recognize names like from that. TK. Michael Rivas. Thanks, Michael. Girls and Pants is good. I want to watch that again. I really do. No, I like Angel Beats a lot. Not recommended. Ooh. 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 Alright. Okay, alright. Buckle up. Spoilers, chat. Spoilers. Here we go. Angel Beats, the anime that is praised by many and criticized by few. Sadly, I was forced to go stand in the cold critic corner. In all honesty, I was excited to watch this anime after all the suggestions from people and raving reviews. The art looked amazing, and I heard the music was incredible. What is a good anime in my book? An anime that affects my grades negatively, because just one more episode. And Angel Beats, however, never gripped me. It made me say, okay, that's enough for today. I have a ton of homework anyway. My experience can be best summed up in a quote from another review. I badly wanted to love this anime, but just couldn't. Story, 2 out of 10. I obsessively try to spot the cracks and flaws in a plot, but I overlook a lot of flaws in the beginning of an anime to give it a fair chance. From the start, the plot's foundation was already showing cracks, but I ignored them due to my high hopes for this must-watch. The story begins with our main protagonist waking up in some kind of afterlife, and he is greeted by a teenage girl with a sniper rifle. The apparent antagonist, called Angel, is, like everyone in this afterlife, immortal. But she has extra powers, because why settle for immortality, am I right? The leader of the resistance is perfectly aware of their opponent's immortality, but she is her group's rebels shoot her anyway. With guns made from dirt, by the way. Even though one of her powers allows bullets to pass straight through her, I was just waiting for one rebel to shout, "Our bullets have been passing harmlessly through her for the past 5 minutes, sir." Then the leader would answer, "Just shoot harder." I would be crying on the floor. Not tears of laughter, but tears of pain, because I would have fell off my chair laughing. The pre-afterlife world in Heist is the high school, because every anime needs a bunch of not-so-normal teens that go to high school. At this school, you are given a chance to make peace with your tragic life and move on to your reincarnation. One of the ways to pass on, get good grades. So this group of rebels against God decides to go to class, but not pay any attention. Brilliant! Why even go to class in the first place? Another thing that irritated me is they added filler scenes and 3 or 4 filler episodes to a 13-episode anime. The characters and plot never had a chance to develop in that short time because it was given second or sometimes third priority. If you take off your thinking cap, lend it to a friend, sit down and just immerse yourself in the art, music, action, and comedy, then you might enjoy this anime quite a bit. The plot is also very slow-paced, and when it finally picks up the pace of the anime, it's almost over. Everything is rushed, and you end up with a horde of mini-arcs. It's true! Oh, it's true! Characters. School scenario, group of misfits, each an embodiment of some stereotype. It's been done too many times. Let's start with a positive. The anime had some of the most interesting characters I've seen in a while. I needed to know more about this when I realized that they were telling each character's backstory and revealing the reason for them qualifying for this school. I was ecstatic. I was too. I agree to that. There was hope for this anime. Sadly, the 3 most interesting and mysterious characters were not even developed in the slightest. Their backstories were not even told. You had the chilled guy who never stopped dancing and only spoke small snippets of vague English. That's TK! You had the introvert girl who was always on her own and who had a love of puppies and the weapon obsessed. Yeah, that's Sheena. That was the ninja girl. And the hot-tempered guy who had a crush on one of the main female protagonists. These 3 supporting characters, in my opinion, have the most potential. I forget his name. Was it Noburo? I can't remember. It started with an N, though. He's the purple-haired guy. Noda. His name was Noda. These 3 supporting characters, in my opinion, get the most most potential, all 3 pushed aside and only used for comic relief. The wasted potential was shocking and really got to me. Too many characters, not enough episodes. Art, 9 out of 10. Now, I need to agree with almost every review here and admit the art was amazing. The use of rays of light reflecting objects and the creamy colors are very soothing to the eye. Beautiful backgrounds and scenes complemented the scenarios and were not too busy. The characters had simple but original designs, at least most of them, even though they were pointless. The action scenes were smooth and flowed. The art was one of the aspects that slightly redeemed this anime and that acted as a safety net to slow a steady descent down my anime list. Sound. The music matched the scenes and really added atmosphere and added emotion to the scenes that were meant to touch you. It was incredibly easy to see the formula the writers followed to try and tug the heartstrings. One track in particular that played during the last episode is the saddest moment. It is the saddest moment made a smile briefly creep up onto my disappointed face. I love the art and sound, but those are just enhancers of the story. Sadly, great art and sound can never save a wrecked plot, no matter how good. It did cushion the blow, however. Ending. Spoiler, chat. Spoiler. You've been warned. The anime's last chance to grab a point or two from me. Sadly, even this chance was squandered. I started watching this anime with the hope of sharing the same feels as all the fans of this anime, begging me to give it a chance. The ending lacked any emotional impact, though. I could almost see the writer add every typical element to the ending to make it resemble a genuinely sad yet still realistic ending. I unfortunately found the ending devoid of even a scrap of logic, and even the timeline of past events showed to the viewer via flashbacks made no sense. I don't want to spoil anything. He says as there's a spoiler tab in it. I don't want to spoil anything, but without spoiling, I just say that the ending makes all the effort and motives of the resistance redundant and laughable. Even the reincarnation theory, or should I say fear of not wanting to risk coming back as a barnacle, is totally blown out of the water. No pun intended. Now, there's one thing about the end that I need to address, so please skip the next designated paragraph, but not the rest of the review if you want to avoid a slight spoiler. You gone? Good. Don't say I didn't warn you. Spoiler, chat. Spoiler. At the very end of the main character and Kanade, that's the angel, move on and are reincarnated as humans. They look like almost exactly like their former selves that are also conveniently the same age and live in the same town city. An angel is conveniently humming a song from this afterlife so that the reincarnated Otonashi main character can recognize the tune, and they end up meeting again. Out of all the billions of life forms that could have been reincarnated as, or let's just say for argument's sake that humans can only be reincarnated as humans, the odds are still impossible. That is complete and utter bullshit and terrible writing. Haha. End of spoiler. Enjoyment 3+, overall 4. I know saying you did not like Angel Beats is like saying you prefer dub over sub in the anime community, but I'll carry that burden. The art and music were fantastic and the comedy made me laugh, but I struggled to take the anime seriously. I never knew if they wanted to make things seem realistic or not. If you're going to make the anime take place in the afterlife, might as well throw realism out the window rather than trying to fix the main problem that come with the anime of this genre. Summed up, a group of teens that go to high school in the afterlife while rebelling against an unknown, unseen, faceless god and shooting an immortal enemy with bullets and guns made from dirt. Immortal teens afraid to die in a world where death means a trip to the school nurse. Some characters did not even have particularly sad stories. One failed to catch a baseball, for fuck's sake. The school is designed to help souls who had tragic lives accept their fate and move on, right? But why are there no new arrivals throughout the anime? If you take the population of Earth in perspective, there would be a massive influx of new arrivals at the school daily due to our world being chaotic mess that it is. There have been teens who live tragic lives 100 times more worse than the characters in this anime. Why don't we see them arrive at this school? I know this review was horribly critical of Angel Beats, but I had no choice. Angel Beats is a rotten egg. It's been beautifully painted and coated in perfume. I actually disagree about the baseball bit. Hinata's backstory is not necessarily that he missed the baseball. It's that after he missed the baseball, he definitely fell into a state of depression, and one of the seniors at his club handed him a little something to make the pain go away. And you have to assume that whatever led to his death came from that. Because the thing is, nobody is there died from suicide. Which leads to another question, is how the hell did Yuri get there? There's no you get Yuri's backstory on why she's so angry, but you don't actually get any information on how she ended up there herself. All she does is say that she didn't kill herself. And it's like, hey, you wanna talk about that plot hole, Jun? That's the guy who wrote this, by the way. Jun Maeda. He wrote this. This guy is interesting. Jun Maeda wrote Charlotte, I believe, as well. And his more recent piece, which I believe is about the world ending in like a week or something. I don't remember the name of it. It was about a year or two ago, I think. But it was being critically panned. Like, insanely critically panned. And when the last episode released, or the last episode aired, the dude, like, disappeared. Nobody could contact him. I don't know what came of that, but he just kind of, like, he just kind of went off the grid. He kind of went off the grid after that. And I don't know what happened to him. But yeah, Angel Beats, chat. Definitely a classic. There are a lot of flaws there. The biggest issue is that a lot of characters don't get developed. There's not a lot of episodes to work with. There was supposed to be an Angel Beats visual novel, but there's just no information on it the last, like, 8 years. It's bullshit. But it is what it is. Next one. This one I barely remember. It's like a Chinese mini-series. And it's just about, I remember it being really funny. That's all I remember. I remember the show being really funny. It's like a mini-series. 3 minutes per episode. But honestly, I don't know when I put this here. So I don't have any information on this. There's a few of them now, though. There's like 4 of them or so. Yeah. There's like 4 of them. There's 3. Interesting. I got pretty... Oh, there's 5. Oh, shit. Pretty consistently good scores. 3-minute series. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, I don't have an opinion on that, unfortunately. I watched the first season, though. But that was a long time ago. Ooh. Here's one with a fun name. Anohimi Tahara no namae o boku tachi wa mada shiranai. Otherwise known as Anohana. This is an original series. Done by A1, I believe. Yep, it was done by A1. And it's about a group of friends in the summertime and something that happened that changed their lives. So yeah, Jinta Yadomi is peacefully living as a recluse, spending his days... Nope. That's good. Jinta Yadomi is peacefully living as a recluse, spending his days away from school and playing video games at home instead. One hot summer day, his childhood friend Meiko Menma Honma appears and pesters him to grant a forgotten wish. He pays her no mind, which annoys her, but he doesn't really care. After all, Menma already died years ago. At first, Jinta thinks he's merely hallucinating due to the summer heat, but he's later on convinced that what he sees is truly the ghost of Menma. Jinta and his group of childhood friends grew apart after her untimely death, but they are drawn together once more as they try to lay Menma's spirit to rest. Reliving their pain and guilt, will they be able to find the strength to help not only Menma move on, but themselves as well. So, this is another one of those ones that I think is really good, but it does suffer from a few things. I can't really say because it's a bit of a spoily, but look at this image, chat. I want you to look at this image. These two characters right here. These two characters right here are the worst part of the show. Absolutely the worst part of the show. Like, these five lads and ladettes, or I guess 6, they were all friends when they were kids. But like, bro, even when they grow up, why would they want to be friends with these two anymore? Seriously, I can't imagine them I can't imagine it. But, aside from that little nitpick, because I don't like those characters very much, I think the show is really good. And it made me sad at the end. Very sad at the end. As you kind of learn what happened to Menma, and how the group drifted apart, and how it led them to the way of their lives. It's very good. See? Look. Look. Recommended. Hee haha. Funny 13. Not funny enough. It's kind of like... You can think of it like a movie, I suppose. But yeah, it's an original series. And I do think it's really good. I think it's definitely... I think it's worth watching. It's one of those... It's a very summery type of show. It's perfect for the season right now. The show takes place in the dead of summer. It's very... and the opening is very summery as well. I would recommend it. If you're looking for something summery to match the season, this is a good one to watch for sure. It's hard to really talk about like events and stuff, but it's mostly the strength of the series is definitely in its characters, but unfortunately not all the characters are as good as the others. Like I said, I don't particularly like the ones on the far right of the image there. I think they're pretty not great. But for the most part, it was a good show, and I've definitely watched it more than once. We're coming up. Oh, another. Chat, have you ever seen this one? This one's based on a book. It's a murder mystery about the story of the extra... This is where the umbrella comes from, which I've said by accident before. This is where the notorious umbrella scene comes from. In Class 3-3 of Yomiyama North Junior High, transfer student Koichi Sakakibara makes his return after taking a sick leave for the first month of school. Among his new classmates, he is inexplicably drawn towards Mei Misaki, a reserved girl with an eye patch whom he met in the hospital during his absence. When none of his classmates acknowledge her existence, they warn him not to acquaint himself with things that do not exist. Against the word of caution, Koichi befriends Mei, soon learning of the sinister truth behind his friend's apprehension. The ominous rumors revolve around a former student of the Class 3-3. However, no one will share the full details of the grim event with Koichi. Engrossed in the curse that plagues his class, Koichi sets out to discover its connection to his new friend. As the tragedies arise around them, it's now up to Koichi, Mei, and their classmates to unravel the eerie mystery, but doing so will come at a hefty price. June music! Fortunately, you can't listen to it because it's part of Twilight Frontier. I'll get claimed by Right Scale. So chat, give me your honest opinion. For those of you that watch this, from a scale of 1 to 10, using only an emote, what would you rate this? Me personally, I have to look at my emotes. Hold on. I gotta look at my emotes. What would I rate this? Probably this. Yes. It's a mystery. There's murders. But to be blunt about it, chat, there's so many aspects to this show that when it ends, you're like, what? What? Address that! And if you've seen the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Warning, contains spoilers. Hold on, chat. This one has more notes, but this one has funny reacts. Only 2. Never mind. Oh my god, that's way too much. Okay, now we're gonna read it. We're gonna read it, chat. If you've never seen this show and want to watch it, then leave right now. But if you don't care, this might go into all the issues that I was hinting at. Here we go. When it comes to anime, the horror genre is a tricky one. A fatal flaw arises right from the beginning, as each person has their own definition of horror depending on how imaginative they might be. While some maybe immediately think of a bunch of gruesome killings, others may think of more eerie supernatural events, and the list goes on. But because of this, the genre has a high chance of failure depending on each person's perception of horror. Unfortunately, another just happens to fall way outside my definition of horror and seems to fit very nicely within comedy. But hold on a second, this anime isn't just a horror, it's also supposed to be a mystery as well. Every year we're usually greeted with at least one mystery anime per season that I only consider mystery simply because it's what they're labeled. This is because more often than not, anime that is supposed to be predominantly mystery, surprise, has no mystery to speak of in them, and another is no different. Although, well, saying there's absolutely no mystery might be a bit of exaggeration, but can you really consider another a mystery? When you get down to it, it was ultimately about finding out who the another was. So that was maybe able to stop the curse that has been running rampant for 26 years. The problem with this is that for the first 4 episodes, it was all about Koichi figuring out who Mei was, seeing as she had the same name as the girl who died 26 years ago, which is what people believe started the curse in the first place. So when we figure out that she's just a normal girl, everything up to this point felt like nothing more than a useless time sink. Here is where it gets into episodes that are completely wasted in favor of cheap shock value to try and keep the viewer hooked. Until episode 10, what did they actually learn about the another? Nothing of any value. Where's the mystery in that? I don't find random deaths to be mysterious or horrifying in any way, and this is what the series focused on the entire time. Oh. One could argue that this has narrowed down the possible suspects, but the characters did nothing with this. Even though they might not have been able to do anything to stop the curse, they could have at least devoted more time to actually try and figure out who the another is rather than waste time with others' daily activities. Throughout the entire series, there are only 2 episodes that truly served any purpose. One of which was the beach episode. Now, would there be any anime without... Where would any anime be without a beach episode? It's particularly mandatory these days. However, it wouldn't be another without a token death scene in almost every episode, now would it? The only good thing that this episode did was provide us with one of the bigger clues, which made it very easy to figure out who the another might be, as it proved that deaths could happen outside of Yomiyama, meaning that the another had to be on the trip. The only problem is that the explanation they gave in the next episode made the speculation as to who the another was entirely useless. It was said that the person who died actually had gotten a brain injury while still in Yomiyama, and would have died later that day regardless of him being run over and torn to shreds by a boat on the beach. With this, it was practically back to square one since you wouldn't know whether or not the information given could be trusted or not, although any good mystery relies on misdirection, and this is one thing I can credit another for at times, as it did try to send you down a wrong path or two as the series progressed, but the small aspect alone didn't make up for how horribly executed everything was. The only other episode that had a purpose was episode 9, and regardless of it being the most frustrating one, it did provide some crucial information. As the events played out, Koichi and his band of half-wits found a tape telling him how to stop the curse from continuing. Now here comes the frustrating part. One of the geniuses amongst the group had the brilliant idea of ripping the tape out of the tape player to stop it from playing, instead of simply pressing the pause button to stop it. Or stop button. You seriously have to invent an entirely new level of imbecile to describe something so moronic, considering the current standards for incompetence in modern society have set the bar so ludicrously low. This newly discovered form of stupidity deserves some kind of fucking award! The author clearly was looking for an easy out so that they could extend the series just a bit longer, which resulted in the wonder that is the final 2 episodes. However, there was one thing that was the ultimate fuck you to all the viewers, more so than the whole tape fiasco in episode 9, and that's Misaki Mei. Not only did they try to make her seem far more important than she was for the first half of the series, but in one of the worst reveals I'd ever had the displeasure of witnessing, they confirmed that she was able to tell who the another was from the very beginning. So with this, anything of relevance that happened in all of the previous episodes was for naught, and that's just absurd. She could have at least tried to speak out and tell the other students that she knew who the another was. And before you say they wouldn't believe her, take a second to think about this. All these morons in Class 3 believed in a completely nonsensical curse that was nothing more than superstition until it was proven to be true in the final episode. Yes, nothing could have been done regardless if she told someone or not, but due to the fact that she actually knew the entire time, the mystery was already technically solved since the beginning. It was only a matter of figuring out how to get rid of the another, which took 7 episodes of cheap deaths. 1 episode to figure out how to stop the curse, 1 episode of half the class dying and or killing each other, and half of the final episode to reveal and kill the another. Am I the only one who sees a problem here? There was no actual deducting or piecing together of a puzzle. All Mei had to do was convince Koichi that his aunt was the another, which went over far too easily, by the way, and it was over. I'm not saying that all the deaths could have been avoided, but I'll be damned if Mei isn't particularly partially to blame for sitting around doing nothing for all previous 11 episodes. This is in no way a mystery. The beginning of the series could be considered an infinitely better mystery than the latter half, as you really had no idea who or what Mei is and what role she actually plays in the story until halfway through the 5th episode. Not only was the mystery handled very haphazardly throughout, but the horror and supernatural aspects were as well. Even now, the series isn't listed under supernatural, most likely because horror usually blends with supernatural in some way, but knowing that the series has supernatural elements only makes everything far worse. From the beginning, we're introduced to the central plot point, the curse that started 26 years ago, that still takes the lives of people today. The problem with this is that throughout the series, the curse felt like nothing more than superstition. Almost every single death throughout the bulk of the series, and especially the ones in episode 11, could be logically explained in some way rather than the only explainable being taking supernatural elements into consideration. There was only one death that truly felt so far-fetched that it could only seem like the work of the supernatural hand, and that was the elevator death in episode 4. However, no matter how small the chance of this happening is, it was still within the realm of possibility. I understand that hospital elevator cable snapping may seem ridiculous, and it really is, but you can't rule out this ever happening at least once in documented history. As for the rest of the deaths, they are all easily explained. The umbrella death in episode 3, dying by falling down a flight of stairs, is entirely possible on its own, but regardless of this being in the original source or something PA Works changed, Dead Girl number 1 falling on the umbrella was purely done for trying to hook the audience. There is no easier way of doing that than making some fall over the top death scene where all the mindless little sheep will endlessly ejaculate over. Episode 5, Heart Attack. If I honestly had to explain this one, I'll probably lose what little hope I have left in humanity. Episode 7, Simple Suicide. The real question here is why the teacher who committed suicide had to make such a spectacle as a death. Here's a hint. Shock value. They aren't done yet. Oh no! Not only were most of the deaths earlier on in the series blown way out of proportion, PA Works felt the need to try and make episode 11 able to rival the entirety of a series like Higurashi in terms of death and overblown character reactions. So here we have a bunch of teenagers scared for their life each and every day, wondering if they'll be the next one to die, and through the magic that is their adolescent mind, one of the previously mentioned half-wits lets 2 unstable girls listen to the tape so they may learn the marvelous way to stop the curse. Cue a ridiculous number of jumping around between scenes that make even Shimbo jealous of the artistic direction. To say this episode was schizophrenic would be quite the compliment. Where am I? Even though there may seem to be a lot going on in this episode, there's absolutely nothing to it in the end. It's just a meaningless massacre where everyone is dying from a series of random events like having a pillar fall on top of them, being incinerated by flames, or simply being killed by one another in some twisted way due to mass hysteria, paranoia, and or plain idiocy. This all goes right back to Mei, as this entire thing could have been avoided if she had spoken up sooner about who the another is, instead of letting the entirety of Class 3 believe it was her. Even once, she revealed to Koichi that she in fact knew the another was. We heard this twice. Koichi never bothered to ask who it was the entire time before or after they were being hunted by everyone else in the mansion, and Mei never brought it up again. Not only was there no real mystery to begin with, withholding the information that could have easily solved this mystery a couple episodes ago puts her at fault for just about everything, not the another. Either way, no matter how you look at it, not every single death in the series was very highly dramatized to the point of absurdity for the simple sake of selling Blu-rays. People like nonsensical violence, that's how it is. Many series have success through using shock value, Madoka for example, so I can't necessarily blame PA Works for this, as they were just trying to make money like everyone else in the world, but that doesn't excuse the fact that it was all completely superficial with no deeper meaning other than people dying for the sake of dying. If I wanted to see that, I would just turn on the news. Damn, when was this review made? Oh! Shit, man. 11 years ago, and this shit still rings true. That hurts. Oh no. Chat, you see that new emote? Where is it? It looks like a sad dog. Is that a global emote, or is that a 7TV emote? Anyway. So it's like a sad doggy. So what exactly was Koichi's role in all this, being the protagonist of the series? One would imagine that he would be the one solving the mystery of piecing together the puzzle, yet he's just as useless as the rest of the cast. His purpose was finished once he figured out the story of Mei and why she was being ignored by the class in the first place. Yeah, that's the one. Poro sad, that's the one. I keep seeing that in Liam's channel now. His chat loves to spam that. Whenever he says, oh no. It makes me laugh. That's League of Legends? How would I have known that? How would I possibly known that? I don't play League. Where was I? Oh shit. His purpose was finished once he figured out the story of Mei and why she was being ignored by their class in the first place. After this, just like everyone else, was tagging along for the ride until the conclusion finally came around. Did he piece together evidence based on everything he heard and encountered to come to the conclusion that the another was his aunt? No, that was Mei. The only purpose he served in the end was providing us with irrefutable proof that his aunt was the another by recalling memories that even he forgot until Mei spoke with him about it during the final episode. While this wasn't necessarily bad, as he does get points for not being a beta protagonist like you would imagine him to be, it certainly wasn't good. Now, assuming you're not counting the Death Fodder that people like to call characters, by simple process of elimination, Mei is the only character left to go over, and she is by far the worst character in the series. Random Dead Kid number 92 is more memorable and even had better characterization and development than she ever had. There's no real depth to her character, and unlike Koichi, she served no purpose other than actually causing more problems for everyone around her, making her more of an antagonizing force than another was. Added to the fact that she didn't have something unique to her design, she's completely indiscernible among the myriad of an Ayanami Rei clones out there. So what? She had a sad past, but who hasn't gone through something like losing a loved one nowadays? It could have been much worse, and I actually expected it to be seen just as much as everyone else expanded upon so ridiculously in the series. The only ounce of development that actually she received was during the midpoint of the series, which is arguably the only decent portion, and that's just because you finally learned about her more than the bitch that no one gives two fucks about. However, among the countless death fodders and pitiful excuses for characters, there is one who stands among the rest simply for being one of the ones I hate to see the most in any given work. And that's the catalyst for an over-dramatized event. In the case of another, it would be the woman who owned the mansion that Class 3 went on into their trip. She had all of maybe 3 lines the entire time she was on screen and was viewed as a side character of no importance. Yet, out of nowhere, she decided to go on a random killing spree. This came on suddenly and was completely unwarranted, which just detracted from the main focus of the finale. During the final episode, they did decide to leave us with one terrible justification for her actions. She was said to be emotionally unstable due to the death of her grandson, but this should in no way trigger her action, seen as his death happened earlier in the series, and by the fact that she went on the murdering spree before the news was leaked about Mei presumably being the another. She merely served as a catalyst to help drive home the paranoia in an already unstable kid staying at the mansion, thus triggering a few of them going batshit insane after they found out that Mei was believed to be the another. I don't even consider the old woman to be a character, but a horribly written plot device that was bad enough to actually be addressed. One of the biggest problems of the series is, of course, the ending. Stating the obvious, they needed to kill the another so that the curse will be stopped. The only problem with this is that, while the curse is stopped for this year, each person whose life was taken by the curse has a chance to be brought back to life the next year. So in the end, killing the another does nothing for anyone in the future, only for the present year. Not only is the curse absolutely ridiculous, it adds yet another layer of absurdity to everyone by giving nonsensical reasons for how it started and why it continues today. Said given explanation is that 26 years ago, the people of Class 3 decided to believe that their classmate who had recently died wasn't actually dead. Due to this, the curse continued to run rampant each year simply because it could, and it can never be stopped. In the end, the supernatural aspect is nothing more than a terrible excuse to shovel garbage down the throats of the people who eat up pointless deaths, and that is not how horror should work. If there's any credit I can truly give to another, is the simple attention to detail that presents in things like the background, exemplary of almost every POA Works anime. Sadly, that's quite easily the strongest point of the series. The atmosphere was great at times, yet seemingly overdone at other times. The main problem with that is that anime can't be successful with only parts out of it, many that make it up. Especially not something like the atmosphere, which requires other aspects of the series to be good in such a manner that it enhances the experience. More often than not, the atmosphere was ruined not because it was actually overdone, but because the scene taking place was horribly executed. In turn, this made everything that took place work against the positive aspect the atmosphere might have provided. In combination with the overbearing OST that sounded like an angsty teenager turning up their stereo up to over 9,000 and some apparent misguided sense of rebellion against society, it's more than kills any good mood that a scene might have been giving off in a record time. At this point, I think it might be PA Works who is cursed. Every anime they produce has such a strong beginning, A core that gets progressively weaker and ultimately yields a poor conclusion. This trend hasn't changed throughout any of their work, and another is no different. It had the potential to be a good mystery, but started to focus on all the wrong aspects as it progressed, and became nothing more than another 12 weeks of my life wasted. Damn. Well, chat, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Another is full of so many weird plot contrivances and silly bullshit that it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. Ultimately, it wasn't very good of a mystery. Also, there's a funny aspect to it with the dub. I've actually watched it. I've watched the dub and the sub. Now, here's the cool part. In the sub, there's a scene where in Koichi's house, his grandfather is like lamenting at like an incense, and he's lamenting the death of his daughter. And he mentions his daughter, who is Koichi's mother. She died, and he says his mother's name, like Koichi's mother's name, but then he also says Retsuko-san as well. Retsuko-san being the aunt, who is the another. Sorry, Reiko. Mikami Reiko. So, he just kind of blurbs both their names. He only does it once. But it's just so like whatever that you don't even notice it. However, in the dub, they cut that line and they bring it back in the memory at the end of the show where they show him lamenting, and they just casually slip in her name there, and it's like, oh, he said it there, but he actually didn't because the dub didn't have him say it there. But in the sub, it shows the same scene. So that was actually good. That was actually a good, like, subtle thing that you could miss. But there's so many aspects to another that were pretty rough, so. Yeah, what can you do, right? Alright, chat. Well, that was a lot. And as you can see, there's plenty more. I'm not going to look at this one right now. I have, however, finished this one, so just allow me to mark the second season. I liked the show a lot. It was very good. But there was one in particular I wanted to look at real quick because I wanted to show. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube. If I can't, I might have to do a little digging. Okay, maybe I can find it like this. I want to find this scene. Give me a second, chat. This might take a little elbow grease. Let me see if I can find it. Danger. Nope. Yaiba. No. There it is. Okay. What episode was it? 10? Hold on, chat. No. No. No, it's not that one. Okay. Let's try 11. Give me a second, I'm looking. I'm looking. Not 11, okay. No, not 11. It's gotta be 9 then, I think. I want to show this because this example that I'm looking for is a big example of the strength of anime. In my opinion. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I really do want to find this. I can't remember where it is. Where is it? Give me a second, chat. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'll find it. Just enjoy Jun. I only had a movie, yes. It's terrible. It's unbelievable garbage. I promise you it's garbage. And it also had an short. No, that's not this one. Not this one. Man, which... No, not that one. Not that one. Where was this scene, man? As soon as I saw, like, the 3D models, I backed out. I backed out. No, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. Oh, it is this one. Oh, I found it. Okay, hold on, chat. Okay. Alright, I found it, chat. I really want to show you this because this right here is what anime. Okay. So, as you know, I've been watching the show and reading for a while now. The Dangers in My Heart. And of course, I can't find it. So, we're going to have to scroll. Hold on. I'm going to find it. And what I like about it is that it focuses on the budding relationship of two characters, but they both grow to like each other more, and they both kind of, like, it's more so the girl who's like the predominant one pushing for it, and it's fun to watch their antics. And what's nice about the manga is there's a lot of sub chapters between the main chapters that just have cutesy stuff to it. So that's why I like it a lot. But there's a particular scene, like when I started it at first, it was okay. It was fine. I was kind of half-heartedly watching it. But as it progressed, I started to pay more attention. And there was one scene that hit me that it just... I mean, I hate to sound like an anime YouTuber here, but it really reminded me why anime is like a medium and what anime as a medium can do for scenes. So I want to show you this scene because this particular scene is, I think, very, very good. And I really like this scene. So, the context here... Hold on. It's not getting the whole thing, is it? Okay. Let me just put this back up to normal then. Okay, put this down. Put this down. Hit the screen. So the context to this scene, chat, is they swapped their desks, and the short boy here with the bangs down cannot see the desk because the tall girl here, yes, she's tall, all right? She's tall. She is in the way of the board. And so he had to share a textbook with the girl next to him, and she didn't like that. So now he's trying to explain the situation to her so she's not mad. Now, in the manga, this is basically a one-panel thing. Bing, bing, boom. Still great. Fantastic. But in the anime, just watch how the anime does this. Like, just watch how it does this. It's really... I had to rewind a couple times just to... You see how the bloom comes on through the curtains, and there's no, I wouldn't say exaggerated reaction, but the reaction from Yamada is really good, and it's more than just one panel, and that is what anime is all about, chat. That is what anime is all about, is being able to show those moments and really encapsulate everything that would be felt in that moment. And I think that scene there does such a good job. And when I saw that scene initially, I was like, that was incredible. I really, I had to rewind the scene just to watch it play out again. The way it sets the, the tone to it, what he says, her reaction to it, his reaction to it after the word. And that's the dynamic of the series. That's the dynamic of the series like that, where they're they get along, and they get it's goofy like that. But what I like about it is that the relationship between the two does progress, and I like how assertive the girl tends to be a lot as well. It's very nice. But the character development of the main guy is also very, very like good. I really like watching him grow as a character. It feels natural. I like the development of the other character as well. Yamada's also a good character. But basically, chat, if you haven't seen the show, I would highly recommend it. It's incredibly good. It starts a little slow. It has a weird hook that doesn't really matter after a couple episodes. But if you're looking for like an actual good romantic comedy that actually has progress with a relationship, this is definitely right up your alley. Anyway, chat. That is all Streamer has for today. So, there we go. I hope you enjoyed. I just want to talk about that because that was fresh on my mind and I really did want to share it. Boku no Kokoro no Yabai Yatsu. The Dangers of My Heart. Watched it on a whim, and I am so glad I did because it is just fantastic. It is just an absolutely fantastic series. And there's a second season on the way next year. Winter 2024. That's still quite a while. But I am... Her mother's name is Snai? I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that. Interesting. Yamana Anna. No, her name's not Kokoro. Her name is Anna. Yamada Anna and Ichikawa Kyotaro. No, it's very good. I mean, I can sit here and talk about it all day. But not really. But really, when I say it's like... It's a romantic comedy that the girl is more pushy than the guy, as you can tell by the image already. But the characters are they're well done. They're fun to watch. Look how tall she is, though, dude. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, back to the match. It's really good. I like it a lot. And I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but I'm very much a huge fan of it. So yeah, that's me gushing about recent things. I was gonna finish the manga at work, but I didn't have data, so I couldn't. So I have 23 chapters, and I'll catch up, and then I will be sad for a little bit because I won't have any more content related to it. It's very good, chat. Very good. Anyway, this has been Streamer Talks About Anime. Streamer Talks About Anime. He got to number 18. Number 19 on his list of 356. Good job, team. Good job, team. We did it. Look at all this shit I've watched in my life, chat. You see this? Do you see all this? Do you see what I've watched? I'm scrolling fast. I'm scrolling fast because, you know, but you see all this stuff? I've watched all this. All of it. Even Kiss X I just saw it in there. I forgot I watched that. Everything's in here, man. All the way back to the ripe old age of like 14. I put so much shit in here. Look at that. Look at all that. All of this has been consumed by my brain yacht. All of it. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Crazy. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, chat. I'd like to do another one of these in the future. Probably not next week. But at some point. It's fun to do. Maybe I'll check, I'll properly check season animes for the lower scoring ones for some funny reviews. But we got a couple funny ones in there and the stuff that I've watched personally. Which, that's the whole point, right? But yeah, hope you enjoyed 3.5 hours of streamer yapping. Streamer's mouth is tired. Streamer no longer wants to yap. So, goodbye.